Hadīth 169. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, led his companions in the fear prayer in the 7th Ghazwa, that is, the Ghazwa of Dhat-ur-Riqa. Ibn Abbas said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offered the fear prayer at a place called Dhat-Qarad. Hadīth 170. Jabir said that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, led the people in the fear prayer on the day of Muharib and Thalabah, that is, the day of the Battle of Dhat-ur-Riqa. Hadīth 171. Jabir added, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, set out for the Battle of Dhat-ur-Riqa at a place called Ukl, and he met a group of people from Ghatafan, but there was no clash between them. The people were afraid of each other, and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offered the 2 rakat of the fear prayer. Narrated Salama, I fought in the company of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, on the day of Al-Qur'an. Hadīth 172. Narrated Abu Burda, Abu Musa said, we went out in the company of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, for a Ghazwa, and we were 6 persons having 1 camel which we rode in rotation. So, due to excessive walking, our feet became thin and my feet became thin and my nail dropped, and we used to wrap our feet with the pieces of cloth, and for this reason, the Ghazwa was named Dhat-ur-Riqa, as we wrapped our feet with rags. When Abu Musa narrated this hadith, he felt regretful to do so and said, as if he disliked to have disclosed a good deed of his. Hadīth 173. Narrated Ṣaḥīḥ bin Qawwat, concerning those who witnessed the fear prayer that was performed in the Battle of Dhat-ur-Riqa in the company of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, 1 batch lined up behind him while another batch, lined up, facing the enemy. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, led the batch that was with him in 1 rakah, and he stayed in the standing posture while that batch completed their 2 rakat prayer by themselves and went away, lining in the face of the enemy, while the other batch came and he, that is, the Prophet, offered his remaining rakah with them, and then kept on sitting till they completed their prayer by themselves, and he then finished his prayer with taslim along with them. Hadīth 174. Narrated Ibn Az-Zubayr, Jabir said, we were with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, at Ukl, and then he mentioned the fear prayer. Narrated Al-Qasim bin Muhammad, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offered the fear prayer in the Ghazwa of Banu Anmar. Hadīth 175. Narrated Sahal bin Abi Huthma, describing the fear prayer, the Imam stands up facing the Qibla and 1 batch of them, that is, the army, out of the 2, prays along with him and the other batch faces the enemy. The Imam offers 1 rakah with the first batch, then they themselves stand up alone and offer 1 bowing and 2 prostrations while they are still in their place, and then go away to relieve the second batch, and the second batch comes, and takes the place of the first batch in the prayer behind the Imam, and he offers the second rakah with them. So he completes his 2 rakat and then the second batch bows and prostrates 2 prostrations, that is, complete their second rakah and thus all complete their prayer. This hadith has also been narrated through 2 other chains by Sahal bin Abi Huthma. Hadīth 176. Narrated Ibn Umar, I took part in a Ghazwa towards Najd along with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and we clashed with the enemy, and we lined up for them. Hadīth 177. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, led the fear prayer with 1 of the 2 batches of the army while the other batch faced the enemy. Then the first batch went away and took places of their companions, that is, second batch, and the second batch came and he led his second rakah with them. Then he, that is, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, finished his prayer with taslim and then each of the 2 batches got up and completed their remaining 1 rakah. Hadīth 178. Narrated Sinan and Abu Salama, Jabir mentioned that he had participated in a Ghazwa towards Najd in the company of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Hadīth 179. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh, that he fought in a Ghazwa towards Najd along with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and when Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, returned, he too returned along with him. The time of the afternoon nap overtook them when they were in a valley full of thorny trees. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, dismounted and the people dispersed amongst the thorny trees, seeking the shade of the trees. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, took shelter under a samurah tree and hung his sword on it. We slept for a while when Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, suddenly called us, and we went to him, to find a Bedouin sitting with him. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "This Bedouin took my sword out of its sheath while I was asleep. When I woke up, the naked sword was in his hand and he said to me, 'Who can save you from me?' I replied, 'Allah.' Now here he is sitting." Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, did not punish him for that. Hadīth 180. Through another group of narrators, Jabir said, "We were in the company of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, during the battle of Dhat-ur-Riqa, and we came across a shady tree and we left it for the Prophet, to take rest under its shade. A man from the pagans came while the Prophet's sword was hanging on the tree. He took it out of its sheath secretly and said, to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, 'Are you afraid of me?' The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, 'No.' He said, 'Who can save you from me?' The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, 'Allah.' The companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, threatened him. Then the Iqamah for the prayer was announced and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offered a 2 rakat fear prayer with one of the two batches, and that batch went aside and he offered 2 rakat with the other batch. So the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offered 4 rakat but the people offered 2 rakat only. The sub-narrator, Abu Bishr added, the man was Gawrath bin al-Harith and the battle was waged against Muharib Kasafah. Hadīth 181. Jabir added, we were with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, at Ukl and he offered the fear prayer. Abu Hurairah said, I offered the fear prayer with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, during the Ghazwa, that is, the battle, of Najd. Abu Hurairah came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, during the day of Khaibar. Hadīth 182. Narrated Ibn Muhayriz, I entered the mosque and saw Abu Sa'id al-Khudri and sat beside him and asked him about al-Uzl, that is, coitus interruptus. Abu Sa'id said, we went out with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, for the Ghazwa of Banu Al-Mustaliq and we received captives from among the Arab captives, and we desired women and celibacy became hard on us and we loved to do coitus interruptus. So when we intended to do coitus interruptus, we said, how can we do coitus interruptus before asking Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, who is present among us? We asked him about it and he said, it is better for you not to do so, for if any soul, till the day of resurrection, is predestined to exist, it will exist. Hadīth 183. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh, we took part in the Ghazwa of Najd along with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and when the time for the afternoon rest approached while he was in a valley with plenty of thorny trees, he dismounted under a tree and rested in its shade and hung his sword on it. The people dispersed amongst the trees in order to have shade. While we were in this state, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, called us and we came and found a Bedouin sitting in front of him. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, this Bedouin came to me while I was asleep, and he took my sword stealthily. I woke up while he was standing by my head, holding my sword without its sheath. He said, who will save you from me? I replied, Allah. So he sheathed it, that is, the sword, and sat down, and here he is. But Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, did not punish him. Hadīth 184. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh al-Ansari, I saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offering his nawafil prayer on his mount facing the east during the Ghazwa of Anmar. Hadīth 185. Narrated Aisha, whenever Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, intended to go on a journey, he used to draw lots amongst his wives, and Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to take with him the one on whom the lot fell. He drew lots amongst us during one of the Ghazwat which he fought. The lot fell on me, and so I proceeded with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, after Allah's order of veiling, the women, had been revealed. I was carried, on the back of a camel, in my howdah and carried down while still in it, when we came to a halt. So we went on till Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, had finished from that Ghazwa of his and returned. When we approached the city of Medina, he announced at night that it was time for departure. So when they announced the news of departure, I got up and went away from the army camps, and after finishing from the call of nature, I came back to my riding animal. I touched my chest to find that my necklace, which was made of zafar beads, that is, Yemenite beads partly black and partly white, was missing. So I returned to look for my necklace, and my search for it detained me. In the meanwhile, the people who used to carry me on my camel, came and took my howdah and put it on the back of my camel on which I used to ride, as they considered that I was in it. In those days women were light in weight, for they did not get fat, and flesh did not cover their bodies in abundance, as they used to eat only a little food. Those people, therefore, disregarded the lightness of the howdah while lifting and carrying it, and at that time I was still a young girl. They made the camel rise, and all of them left, along with it. I found my necklace after the army had gone. Then I came to their camping place to find no call maker of them, nor one who would respond to the call. So I intended to go to the place where I used to stay, thinking that they would miss me and come back to me, in my search. While I was sitting in my resting place, I was overwhelmed by sleep and slept. Safwan bin al-Mu'attal as-Sulami ad-Dakwani was behind the army. When he reached my place in the morning, he saw the figure of a sleeping person, and he recognized me on seeing me as he had seen me before the order of compulsory veiling was prescribed. So I woke up when he recited istirja, that is, to Allah we belong and to him we will return, as soon as he recognized me. I veiled my face with my head cover at once, and by Allah, we did not speak a single word, and I did not hear him saying any word besides his istirja. He dismounted from his camel and made it kneel down, putting his leg on its front legs, and then I got up and rode on it. Then he set out leading the camel that was carrying me till we overtook the army in the extreme heat of midday while they were at a halt, taking a rest. Because of the event, some people brought destruction upon themselves, and the one who spread the Ifk, that is, slander, more was Abdullāh bin Ubay ibn Salul. Urwa said, the people propagated the slander and talked about it in his, that is, Abdullah's, presence, and he confirmed it and listened to it and asked about it to let it prevail. Urwa also added, none was mentioned as members of the slanderous group besides Abdullāh, except Hassan bin Thabit and Mistah bin Athatha and Hamna bin Jahash, along with others about whom I have no knowledge, but they were a group as Allah said. It is said that the one who carried most of the slander was Abdullāh bin Ubay bin Salul. Urwa added, Aisha disliked to have Hassan abused in her presence, and she used to say, it was he who said, my father and his, that is, my father's, father and my honor are all for the protection of Muhammad's honor from you. Aisha added, after we returned to Medina, I became ill for a month. The people were propagating the forged statements of the slanderers while I was unaware of anything of all that, but I felt that in my present ailment, I was not receiving the same kindness from Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, as I used to receive when I got sick. But now, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, would only come, greet me and say, how is that, lady, and leave. That roused my doubts, but I did not discover the evil, that is, slander, till I went out after my convalescence. I went out with Mistah to Al-Muraisi, where we used to answer the call of nature, and we used not to go out to answer the call of nature, except at night, and that was before we had latrines near our houses. And this habit of our concerning evacuating the bowels was similar to the habits of the old Arabs living in the deserts, for it would be troublesome for us to take latrines near our houses. So I and Mistah, who was the daughter of Abu Ruhm bin al-Muttalib bin Abd Manaf, whose mother was the daughter of Sakhr bin Amir and the aunt of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, and whose son was Mistah bin Athatha bin Abbas bin al-Muttalib, went out. I and Mistah returned to my house after we finished answering the call of nature. Mistah stumbled by getting her foot entangled in her covering sheet, and on that she said, "Let Mistah be ruined." I said, "What a hard word you have said. Do you abuse a man who took part in the Battle of Badr?" On that, she said, "Oh, you hunter! Didn't you hear what he, that is, Mistah, said?" I said, "What did he say?" Then she told me the slander of the people of Ifk. So my ailment was aggravated, and when I reached my home, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, came to me, and after greeting me, said, "How is that, lady?" I said, "Will you allow me to go to my parents," as I wanted to be sure about the news through them. Allah's Apostle allowed me, and I went to my parents, and asked my mother, "O mother, what are the people talking about?" She said, "Oh my daughter, don't worry, for scarcely is there a charming woman who is loved by her husband and whose husband has other wives besides herself that they, that is, women, would find faults with her." I said, "Subhanallah. I testify the uniqueness of Allah. Are the people really talking in this way?" I kept on weeping that night till dawn. I could neither stop weeping nor sleep, then in the morning again, I kept on weeping. When the divine inspiration was delayed, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, called Ali bin Abi Talib and Usama bin Zaid to ask and consult them about divorcing me. Usama bin Zaid said what he knew of my innocence, and the respect he preserved in himself for me. Usama said, "O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. She is your wife and we do not know anything except good about her." Ali bin Abi Talib said, "O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Allah does not put you in difficulty and there are plenty of women other than she, yet, ask the maidservant who will tell you the truth." On that, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, called Barira, that is, the maidservant, and said, "O Barira, did you ever see anything which aroused your suspicion?" Barira said to him, "By him who has sent you with the truth, I have never seen anything in her, that is, Aisha, which I would conceal, except that she is a young girl who sleeps leaving the dough of her family exposed so that the domestic goats come and eat it." So, on that day, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, got up on the pulpit and complained about Abdullāh bin Ubay bin Salul, before his companions, saying, "O you Muslims! Who will relieve me from that man who has hurt me with his evil statement about my family? By Allah, I know nothing except good about my family, and they have blamed a man about whom I know nothing except good, and he used never to enter my home except with me." Sa'd bin Mu'adh, the brother of Banu Abd al-Ashhal, got up and said, "O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, I will relieve you from him. If he is from the tribe of Al-Aws, then I will chop his head off, and if he is from our brothers, that is, Al-Khazraj, then order us, and we will fulfill your order." On that, a man from Al-Khazraj got up. Hassan, his cousin, was from his branch tribe, and he was Sa'd bin Ubadah, chief of Al-Khazraj. Before this incident, he was a pious man, but his love for his tribe goaded him into saying to Sa'd bin Mu'adh, "By Allah, you have told a lie, you shall not and cannot kill him. If he belonged to your people, you would not wish him to be killed." On that, Usayd bin Hudayr, who was the cousin of Sa'd bin Mu'adh, got up and said to Sa'd bin Ubadah, "By Allah, you are a liar. We will surely kill him, and you are a hypocrite arguing on the behalf of hypocrites." On this, the two tribes of Al-Aws and Al-Khazraj got so much excited that they were about to fight while Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, was standing on the pulpit. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, kept on quietening them till they became silent, and so did he. All that day I kept on weeping with my tears never ceasing, and I could never sleep. In the morning my parents were with me, and I wept for 2 nights and a day with my tears never ceasing, and I could never sleep till I thought that my liver would burst from weeping. So, while my parents were sitting with me and I was weeping, an Ansari woman asked me to grant her admittance. I allowed her to come in, and when she came in, she sat down and started weeping with me. While we were in this state, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, came, greeted us and sat down. He had never sat with me since that day of the slander. A month had elapsed and no divine inspiration came to him about my case. Allah's Apostle then recited Tashahhud and then said, Amma ba'du, O Aisha. I have been informed so and so about you. If you are innocent, then soon Allah will reveal your innocence, and if you have committed a sin, then repent to Allah and ask Him for forgiveness, for when a slave confesses his sins and asks Allah for forgiveness, Allah accepts his repentance. When Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, finished his speech, my tears ceased flowing completely, that I no longer felt a single drop of tear flowing. I said to my father, reply to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, on my behalf concerning what he has said. My father said, by Allah, I do not know what to say to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Then I said to my mother, reply to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, on my behalf concerning what he has said. She said, by Allah, I do not know what to say to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. In spite of the fact that I was a young girl and had a little knowledge of Quran, I said, by Allah, no doubt I know that you heard this slanderous speech so that it has been planted in your hearts, that is, minds, and you have taken it as a truth. Now if I tell you that I am innocent, you will not believe me, and if I confess to you about it, and Allah knows that I am innocent, you will surely believe me. By Allah, I find no similitude for me and you except that of Joseph's father when he said, for me, patience is the most fitting against that which you assert, it is Allah, alone, whose help can be sought. Then I turned to the other side and lay on my bed, and Allah knew then that I was innocent and hoped that Allah would reveal my innocence. But, by Allah, I never thought that Allah would reveal about my case divine inspiration that would be recited, forever, as I considered myself too unworthy to be talked of by Allah with something of my concern, but I hoped that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, might have a dream in which Allah would prove my innocence. But, by Allah, before Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, left his seat and before any of the household left, the divine inspiration came to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. So there overtook him the same hard condition which used to overtake him, when he used to be inspired divinely. The sweat was dropping from his body like pearls though it was a wintry day, and that was because of the weighty statement which was being revealed to him. When that state of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, was over, he got up smiling, and the first word he said was, O Aisha! Allah has declared your innocence. Then my mother said to me, get up and go to him, that is, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. I replied, by Allah, I will not go to him, and I praise none but Allah. So Allah revealed the 10 verses, verily, they who spread the slander are a gang among you. Surah 24, Ayat 11-20. Allah revealed those Quranic verses to declare my innocence. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, who used to disburse money for Mistah bin Uthatha because of his relationship to him and his poverty, said, by Allah, I will never give to Mistah bin Uthatha anything after what he has said about Aisha. Then Allah revealed, and let not those among you who are good and wealthy swear not to give any sort of help to their kinsmen, those in need, and those who have left their homes for Allah's cause, let them pardon and forgive. Do you not love that Allah should forgive you? And Allah is oft-forgiving, most merciful. Surah 24, Ayah 22. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq said, Yes, by Allah I would like that Allah forgives me, and went on giving Mistah the money he used to give him before. He also added, By Allah, I will never deprive him of it at all. Aisha further said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, also asked Zainab bint Jahash, that is, his wife, about my case. He said to Zainab, What do you know and what did you see? She replied, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. I refrain from claiming falsely that I have heard or seen anything. By Allah, I know nothing except good, about Aisha. From amongst the wives of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, Zainab was my peer, in beauty and in the love she received from the Prophet, but Allah saved her from that evil because of her piety. Her sister Hamna started struggling on her behalf, and she was destroyed along with those who were destroyed. The man who was blamed said, Subhanallah. By him in whose hand my soul is, I have never uncovered the cover, that is, veil, of any female. Later on, the man was martyred in Allah's cause. Hadith 186. Narrated Az-Zuhri, Al-Walid bin Abdul Malik said to me, Have you heard that Ali was one of those who slandered Aisha? I replied, No, but two men from your people, named Abu Salamah bin Abdur-Rahman and Abu Bakr bin Abdur-Rahman bin Al-Harith have informed me that Aisha told them that Ali remained silent about her case. Hadith 187. Narrated Masruq bin Al-Ajda, Ruman, the mother of Aisha said that while Aisha and she were sitting, an Ansari woman came and said, May Allah harm such and such a person. Ruman said to her, What is the matter? She replied, My son was amongst those who talked of the story, of the slander. Ruman said, What is that? She said, So and so, and narrated the whole story. On that, Aisha said, Did Allah's apostle hear about that? She replied, Yes. Aisha further said, And Abu Bakr too? She replied, Yes. On that, Aisha fell down fainting, and when she came to her senses, she had got fever with rigors. I put her clothes over her and covered her. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, came and asked, What is wrong with this, lady? Ruman replied, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. She, that is, Aisha, has got temperature with rigors. He said, Perhaps it is because of the story that has been talked about? She said, Yes. Aisha sat up and said, By Allah, if I took an oath, that I am innocent, you would not believe me, and if I said, that I am not innocent, you would not excuse me. My and your example is like that of Jacob and his sons, as Jacob said, It is Allah, alone, whose help can be sought against that you assert. Ruman said, The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then went out saying nothing. Then Allah declared her innocence. On that, Aisha said, to the Prophet, I thank Allah only, thank neither anybody else nor you. Hadith 188. Narrated Ibn Abi Mulaika, Aisha used to recite this verse, As you tell lie with your tongues, Surah 24, Ayah 15, and used to say, Al-Walk means, telling of a lie. She knew this verse more than anybody else as it was revealed about her. Hadith 189. Narrated Hisham's father, I started abusing Hassan in front of Aisha. She said, Do not abuse him, as he used to defend Allah's apostle, against the infidels. Aisha added, Once Hassan took the permission from the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, to say poetic verses against the infidels. On that, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, How will you exclude my forefathers from that? Hassan replied, I will take you out of them as one takes a hair out of the dough. Hisham's father added, I abused Hassan as he was one of those who spoke against Aisha. Hadīth 190. Narrated Masruq, we went to Aisha while Hassan bin Thabit was with her reciting poetry to her from some of his poetic verses, saying, a chaste wise lady about whom nobody can have suspicion. She gets up with an empty stomach because she never eats the flesh of indiscreet ladies. Aisha said to him, but you are not like that. I said to her, why do you grant him admittance, though Allah said, and as for him among them, who had the greater share therein, his will be a severe torment. Surah 24, Ayah 11. On that, Aisha said, and what punishment is more than blinding? She added, Hassan used to defend or say poetry on behalf of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, against the infidels. Hadīth 191. Narrated Zayd bin Khalid, we went out with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, in the year of Al-Hudaibiya. One night it rained and Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, led us in the Fajr prayer and, after finishing it, turned to us and said, do you know what your Lord has said? We replied, Allah and His Apostle know it better. He said, Allah said, some of my slaves got up believing in me, and some of them disbelieving in me. The one who said, we have been given rain through Allah's mercy and Allah's blessing and Allah's bounty, then he is a believer in me, and is a disbeliever in the star. And whoever said, we have been given rain because of such and such star, then he is a believer in the star, and is a disbeliever in me. Hadīth 192. Narrated Anas, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, performed 4 Umrahs, all in the month of Dhul-Qa'dah, except the one which he performed with his Hajj, that is, in Dhul-Hijjah. He performed 1 Umrah from Al-Hudaibiya in Dhul-Qa'dah, another Umrah in the following year in Dhul-Qa'dah, a third from Al-Ji'rana where he distributed the war booty of Hunayn, in Dhul-Qa'dah, and the 4th Umrah he performed was with his Hajj. Hadīth 193. Narrated Abu Qatada, we set out with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, in the year of Al-Hudaibiya, and all his companions assumed the state of Ihram, but I did not. Hadīth 194. Narrated Al-Bara, do you, people, consider the conquest of Makkah, the victory, referred to in the Quran, Surah 48, Ayah 1, was the conquest of Makkah a victory? We really consider that the actual victory was the Ar-Ridwan pledge of allegiance which we gave on the day of Al-Hudaibiya, to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. On the day of Al-Hudaibiya we were 1,400 men along with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Al-Hudaibiya was a well, the water of which we used up leaving not a single drop of water in it. When the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was informed of that, he came and sat on its edge. Then he asked for a utensil of water, performed ablution from it, rinsed his mouth, invoked Allah, and poured the remaining water into the well. We stayed there for a while and then the well brought forth what we required of water for ourselves and our riding animals. Hadīth 195. Narrated Al-Bara bin Azib, that they were in the company of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, on the day of Al-Hudaibiya and their number was 1,400 or more. They camped at a well and drew its water till it was dried. When they informed Allah's Apostle of that, he came and sat over its edge and said, bring me a bucket of its water. When it was brought, he spat and invoked Allah, and said, leave it for a while. Then they quenched their thirst and watered their riding animals, from that well, till they departed. Hadīth 196. Narrated Salim, Jabir said, on the day of Al-Hudaibiya, the people felt thirsty and Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, had a utensil containing water. He performed ablution from it and then the people came towards him. Allah's Apostle said, what is wrong with you? The people said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. We haven't got any water to perform ablution with or to drink, except what you have in your utensil. So the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, put his hand in the utensil and the water started spouting out between his fingers like springs. So we drank and performed ablution. I said to Jabir, "What was your number on that day?" He replied, "Even if we had been 100,000, that water would have been sufficient for us. Anyhow, we were 1,500. Hadith 197. Narrated Qatada, I said to Sa'id bin al-Musayyab, I have been informed that Jabir bin Abdullāh said that the number of Al-Hudaibiya Muslim warriors was 1,400. Sa'id said to me, Jabir narrated to me that they were 1,500 who gave the pledge of allegiance to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, on the day of Al-Hudaibiya. Hadith 198. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh, on the day of Al-Hudaibiya, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said to us, "You are the best people on the earth." We were 1,400 then. If I could see now, I would have shown you the place of the tree, beneath which we gave the pledge of allegiance. Salam said, our number was 1,400. Hadith 199. Abdullāh bin Abi Awfa said, the people, who gave the pledge of allegiance, under the tree numbered 1,300, and the number of Bani Aslam was 1/8 of the emigrants. Hadith 200. Narrated Mirdas al-Aslami, who was among those, who had given the pledge of allegiance, under the tree, pious people will die in succession, and there will remain the dregs of society who will be like the useless residues of dates and barley, and Allah will pay no attention to them. Hadith 201. Narrated Marwan and Al-Miswar bin Makramah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, went out in the company of 1,300 to 1,500 of his companions in the year of Al-Hudaibiya, and when they reached Dhul Hulayfa, he garlanded and marked his hadi and assumed the state of ihram. Hadith 202. Narrated Ka'b bin Ujrah, that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saw him with the lice falling, from his head, on his face. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Are your lice troubling you? Ka'b said, Yes. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, thus ordered him to shave his head while he was at Al-Hudaibiya. Up to then there was no indication that all of them would finish their state of ihram and they hoped that they would enter Makkah. Then the order of al-Fidyah was revealed, so Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered Ka'b to feed 6 poor persons with 1 farak of food, or slaughter a sheep, or fast for 3 days. Hadith 203. Narrated Aslam, once I went with Umar bin al-Khattab to the market, a young woman followed Umar and said, O chief of the believers! My husband has died, leaving little children. By Allah, they have not even a sheep's trotter to cook, they have no farms or animals. I am afraid that they may die because of hunger, and I am the daughter of Kufaf bin Imā al-Ghifari, and my father witnessed the pledge of allegiance of Al-Hudaibiya with the Prophet. Umar stopped and did not proceed, and said, I welcome my near relative. Then he went towards a strong camel which was tied in the house, and carried onto it 2 sacks he had loaded with food grains and put between them money and clothes and gave her its rope to hold and said, Lead it, and this provision will not finish till Allah gives you a good supply. A man said, O chief of the believers! You have given her too much. Umar said disapprovingly, May your mother be bereaved of you. By Allah, I have seen her father and brother besieging a fort for a long time and conquering it, and then we were discussing what their shares they would have from that war booty. Hadith 204. Narrated Sa'id bin al-Musayyab, that his father said, I saw the tree of the Ar-Ridwan pledge of allegiance, and when I returned to it later, I was not able to recognize it. The sub-narrator Mahmud said, Al-Musayyab said, Then I forgot it, that is, the tree. Hadith 205. Narrated Tariq bin Abdur-Rahman, when I set out for Hajj, I passed by some people offering a prayer. I asked, What is this mosque? They said, This is the tree where Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, took the Ar-Ridwan pledge of allegiance. Then I went to Sa'id bin al-Musayyab and informed him about it. Sa'id said, my father said that he was amongst those who had given the pledge of allegiance to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, beneath the tree. He, that is, my father, said, when we set out the following year, we forgot the tree and were unable to recognize it. Then Sa'id said, perhaps ironically, the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, could not recognize it, nevertheless, you do recognize it, therefore you have a better knowledge. Hadith 206. Narrated Sa'id bin al-Musayyab, that his father was amongst those who had given the pledge of allegiance, to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, beneath the tree, and the next year when they went towards the tree, they were not able to recognize it. Hadith 207. Narrated Tariq, the tree where the Ridwan pledge of allegiance was taken by the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was mentioned before Sa'id bin al-Musayyab. On that, he smiled and said, my father informed me about it, and he had witnessed it, that is, the pledge. Hadith 208. Narrated Abdullāh bin Abi Awfa, who was one of those who had given the pledge of allegiance to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, beneath the tree, when the people brought sadaqah, that is, zakat, to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he used to say, O Allah, bless them with your mercy. Once my father came with his sadaqah to him, whereupon he, that is, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O Allah, bless the family of Abu Awfa. Hadith 209. Narrated Abbas bin Tamim, when it was the day of the battle of Al-Huraqat, the people were giving pledge of allegiance to Abdullāh bin Hanzalah. Ibn Zayd said, for what are the people giving pledge of allegiance to Abdullāh bin Hanzalah? It was said to him, for death. Ibn Zayd said, I will never give the pledge of allegiance for that to anybody else after Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Ibn Zayd was one of those who had witnessed the day of Al-Hudaibiya with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Hadith 210. Narrated Iyas bin Salamah bin al-Aqwa, my father who was amongst those who had given the pledge of allegiance to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, beneath the tree, said to me, we used to offer the Jumu'ah prayer with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and then depart at a time when the walls had no shade for us to take shelter in. Hadith 211. Narrated Yazid bin Abi Ubaid, I said to Salamah bin al-Aqwa, for what did you give the pledge of allegiance to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, on the day of Al-Hudaibiya? He replied, for death, in the cause of Islam. Hadith 212. Narrated Al-Musayyab, I met Al-Bara bin Azib and said, to him, may you live prosperously. You enjoyed the company of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and gave him the pledge of allegiance, of Al-Hudaibiya, under the tree. On that, Al-Bara said, O my nephew, you do not know what we have done after him, that is, his death. Hadith 213. Narrated Abu Kilaba, that Thabit bin ad-Dahhak had informed him that he was one of those who had given the pledge of allegiance, of Al-Hudaibiya, beneath the tree. Hadith 214. Narrated Anas bin Malik, regarding Allah's statement, verily, we have granted you, O Muhammad, manifest victory, Surah 48, Ayah 1, it refers to the Al-Hudaibiya pledge. And the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, to the Prophet, congratulations and happiness for you, but what reward shall we get? So Allah revealed, that he may admit the believing men and women to gardens beneath which rivers flow. Surah 48, Ayah 5. Hadith 215. Narrated Zahir al-Aslami, who was one of those who had witnessed the pledge of allegiance beneath the tree, while I was making fire beneath the cooking pots containing donkey's meat, the announcer of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, announced, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, forbids you to eat donkey's meat. Hadith 216. The same narration was told by Mujza from a man called Uban bin Aus, who was one of those who had witnessed the pledge of allegiance beneath the tree, and who had some trouble in his knee, so that while doing prostrations, he used to put a pillow underneath his knee. Hadith 217. Narrated Suwaid bin An-Nu'man, who was one of those who witnessed the pledge of allegiance beneath the tree, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and his companions were given sawiq and they chewed it. Hadith 218. Narrated Abu Jamrah, I asked A'id bin Amr, who was one of the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, one of those who gave the allegiance to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, under the tree, can the witr prayer be repeated in one night? He said, if you have offered it in the first part of the night, you should not repeat it in the last part of the night. Hadith 219. Narrated Zayd bin Aslam, my father said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, was proceeding at night on one of his journeys, and Umar bin al-Khattab was going along with him. Umar bin al-Khattab asked him about something, but Allah's Apostle did not answer him. Umar asked him again, but he did not answer him. He asked him again, for the third time, but he did not answer him. On that, Umar bin al-Khattab addressed himself saying, May your mother be bereaved of you, O Umar, for you have asked Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, thrice, yet he has not answered you. Umar said, Then I made my camel run fast and took it in front of the other Muslims, and I was afraid that something might be revealed in my connection. I had hardly waited for a moment when I heard somebody calling me. I said, I was afraid that something might have been revealed about me. Then I came to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and greeted him. He, that is, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Tonight there has been revealed to me a surah which is dearer to me than all the world, on which the sun rises, and then he recited, Verily, we have granted you, O Muhammad, a manifest victory. Surah 48, Ayah 1. Hadith 220. Narrated Al-Miswar bin Makramah and Marwan bin al-Hakam, one of them said more than his friend, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, set out in the company of more than 1,000 of his companions in the year of Al-Hudaibiya, and when he reached Dhul Hulayfa, he garlanded his hadi, that is, sacrificing animal, assumed the state of ihram for Umrah from that place, and sent a spy of his from Khuzā tribe. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, proceeded on till he reached a village called Ghadir al-Ashtat. There, his spy came and said, The Quraysh, infidels, have collected a great number of people against you, and they have collected against you the Ethiopians, and they will fight with you, and will stop you from entering the Kaaba and prevent you. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O people, give me your opinion. Do you recommend that I should destroy the families and offspring of those who want to stop us from the Kaaba? If they should come to us for peace, then Allah will destroy a spy from the pagans, or otherwise we will leave them in a miserable state. On that, Abu Bakr said, O Allah's Apostle, you have come with the intention of visiting this house, that is, Kaaba, and you do not want to kill or fight anybody. So proceed to it, and whoever should stop us from it, we will fight him. On that, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Proceed on, in the name of Allah. Hadith 221. Narrated Urwah bin Az-Zubayr, that he heard Marwan bin al-Hakam and Al-Miswar bin Makramah relating one of the events that happened to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, in the Umrah of Al-Hudaibiya. They said, when Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, concluded the truce with Suhail bin Amr on the day of Al-Hudaibiya, one of the conditions which Suhail bin Amr stipulated was his saying, to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, if anyone from us, that is, infidels, ever comes to you, though he has embraced your religion, you should return him to us, and should not interfere between us and him. Suhail refused to conclude the truce with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, except on this condition. The believers disliked this condition and got disgusted with it and argued about it. But when Suhail refused to conclude the truce with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, except on that condition, Allah's Apostle concluded it. Accordingly, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, then returned Abu Jandal bin Suhail to his father, Suhail bin Amr, and returned every man coming to him from them during that period even if he was a Muslim. The believing women emigrants came to Medina, and Kulthum, the daughter of Uqbah bin Abi Mu'ayt, was one of those who came to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and she was an adult at that time. Her relatives came, asking Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, to return her to them, and in this connection, Allah revealed the verses dealing with the believing women. Hadith 222. Aisha said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to test all the believing women who migrated to him, with the following verse, O Prophet! When the believing women come to you to give the pledge of allegiance to you. Surah 60, Ayah 12. Urwa's uncle said, We were informed when Allah ordered his apostle to return to the pagans what they had given to their wives who lately migrated to Medina, and we were informed that Abu Basir. Relating the whole narration. Hadith 223. Narrated Nafi, Abdullāh bin Umar set out for Umrah during the period of afflictions, and he said, If I should be stopped from visiting the Kaaba, I will do what we did when we were with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. He assumed ihram for Umrah in the year of Al-Hudaibiya. Hadith 224. Narrated Nafi, Ibn Umar assumed ihram and said, If something should intervene between me and the Kaaba, then I will do what the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, did when the Quraysh infidels intervened between him and the Kaaba. Then Ibn Umar recited, You have indeed in Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, a good example to follow. Surah 33, Ayah 21. Hadith 225. Narrated Nafi, one of Abdullah's sons said to Abdullāh bin Umar, I wish you would stay this year, and not perform Hajj, as I am afraid that you will not be able to reach the Kaaba. On that, he, that is, Abdullāh bin Umar, said, We went out with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, for Umrah, and when the Quraysh infidels intervened between us and the Kaaba, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, slaughtered his hadi and shaved his head, and his companions cut short their hair. Then Abdullāh bin Umar said, I make you witness that I have intended to perform Umrah, and if I am allowed to reach the Kaaba, I will perform the Tawaf, and if something, that is, obstacles, intervene between me and the Kaaba, then I will do what Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, did. Then after going for a while, he said, I consider the ceremonies of both Umrah and Hajj as one and the same, so I would like you to witness that I have intended to perform Hajj along with my Umrah. So he performed only one Tawaf and one Sa'i, between Safa and Marwa, and finished the ihram of both Umrah and Hajj. Hadith 226. Narrated Nafi, the people used to say that Ibn Umar had embraced Islam before Umar. This is not true. What happened is that Umar sent Abdullāh to bring his horse from an Ansari man so as to fight on it. At that time, the people were giving the pledge of allegiance to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, near the tree, and Umar was not aware of that. So Abdullāh bin Umar gave the pledge of allegiance to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and went to take the horse and brought it to Umar. While Umar was putting on the armor to get ready for fighting, Abdullāh informed him that the people were giving the pledge of allegiance to Allah's Apostle beneath the tree. So Umar set out and Abdullāh accompanied him till he gave the pledge of allegiance to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and it was this event that made people say that Ibn Umar had embraced Islam before Umar. Hadith 227. Abdullāh bin Umar added, The people were along with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, on the day of Al-Hudaibiya spreading in the shade of the trees. Suddenly the people surrounded the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and started looking at him. Umar said, O Abdullāh! Go and see why the people are encircling Allah's apostle and looking at him. Abdullāh bin Umar then saw the people giving the pledge of allegiance to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. So he also gave the pledge of allegiance and returned to Umar, who went out in his turn and gave the pledge of allegiance to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Hadith 228. Narrated Abdullāh bin Abi Awfa, we were in the company of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, when he performed the Umrah. He performed the tawaf and we did the same, he offered the prayer and we also offered the prayer with him. Then he performed the Ṣaḥīḥ between Safa and Marwa and we were guarding him against the people of Makkah so that nobody should harm him. Hadith 229. Narrated Abu Wa'il, when Sahal bin Hunayf returned from the Battle of Siffin, we went to ask him as to why he had come back. He replied, "You should not consider me a coward, but blame your opinions. I saw myself on the day of Abu Jandal, inclined to fight, and if I had the power of refusing the order of Allah's apostle then, I would have refused it and fought the infidels bravely. Allah and his apostle know what is convenient better. Whenever we put our swords on our shoulders for any matter that terrified us, our swords led us to an easy agreeable solution before the present situation of disagreement and dispute between the Muslims. When we mend the breach in one side, it opened in another, and we do not know what to do about it." Hadith 230. Narrated Ka'b bin Ujrah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, came to me at the time of Al-Hudaibiya pledge while lice were falling on my face. He said, "Are the lice of your head troubling you?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Shave your head and fast for 3 days, or feed 6 poor persons, or slaughter a sheep as sacrifice." The sub-narrator, Ayyub said, "I do not know with which of these 3 options he started." Hadith 231. Narrated Ka'b bin Ujrah, we were in the company of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, at Al-Hudaibiya in the state of Ihram, and the pagans did not allow us to proceed to the Kaaba. I had thick hair and lice started falling on my face. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, passed by me and said, "Are the lice of your head troubling you?" I replied, "Yes." The sub-narrator added, "Then the following divine verse was revealed, and if any one of you is ill or has an ailment in his scalp, necessitating shaving, must pay a ransom, fidyah, of either fasting or feeding the poor, or offering a sacrifice." Surah 2, Ayah 196. Hadith 232. Narrated Anas, some people of the tribe of Ukl and Uraina arrived at Medina to meet the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and embraced Islam and said, "O Allah's Prophet! We are the owners of milch livestock, that is, Bedouins, and not farmers, that is, countrymen." They found the climate of Medina unsuitable for them. So Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered that they should be provided with some milch camels and a shepherd and ordered them to go out of Medina and to drink the camel's milk and urine, as medicine. So they set out and when they reached Al-Huraqat, they reverted to heathenism after embracing Islam, and killed the shepherd of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and drove away the camels. When this news reached the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he sent some people in pursuit of them. So they were caught and brought back to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, gave his orders in their concern. So their eyes were branded with pieces of iron and their hands and legs were cut off, and they were left away in Huraqat till they died in that state of theirs. Hadith 233. Narrated Abu Raja, the freed slave of Abu Kilabah, who was with Abu Kilabah in Sham, Umar bin Abdul Aziz consulted the people saying, "What do you think of Qasama?" They said, "It is a right judgment, which Allah's apostle and the caliphs before you acted on." Abu Kilabah was behind Umar's bed. Unbasah bin Sa'id said, "But what about the narration concerning the people of Uraina?" Abu Kilabah said, "Anas bin Malik narrated it to me, and then narrated the whole story." Hadīth 234. Narrated Salamah bin al-Aqwa, once I went, from Medina, towards Al-Gaba, before the first adhan of the Fajr prayer. The she-camels of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to graze at a place called Dhat-Qarad. A slave of Abdur-Rahman bin Auf met me, on the way, and said, the she-camels of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, had been taken away by force. I asked, who had taken them? He replied, the people of Ghatafan. I made 3 loud cries, to the people of Medina, saying, O Sabaha! I made the people between the 2 mountains of Medina hear me. Then I rushed onward and caught up with the robbers while they were watering the camels. I started throwing arrows at them as I was a good archer, and I was saying, I am the son of Al-Aqwa, and today will perish the wicked people. I kept on saying like that till I restored the she-camels, of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. I also snatched 30 burda, that is, garments, from them. Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and the other people came there, and I said, O Allah's Prophet! I have stopped the people, of Ghatafan, from taking water and they are thirsty now. So send, some people, after them now. On that, the Prophet said, O the son of Al-Aqwa! You have overpowered them, so forgive them. Then we all came back and Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, seated me behind him on his she-camel till we entered Medina. Hadīth 235. Narrated Suwayd bin An-Nu'man, I went out in the company of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, in the year of Khaibar, and when we reached As-Sahba, which is the lower part of Khaibar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offered the Asr prayer and then asked the people to collect the journey food. Nothing was brought but sawiq, which the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered to be moistened with water, and then he ate it and we also ate it. Then he got up to offer the Maghrib prayer. He washed his mouth, and we too washed our mouths, and then he offered the prayer without repeating his ablution. Hadīth 236. Narrated Salamah bin al-Aqwa, we went out to Khaibar in the company of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. While we were proceeding at night, a man from the group said to Amir, O Amir! Won't you let us hear your poetry? Amir was a poet, so he got down and started reciting for the people poetry that kept pace with the camel's footsteps, saying, O Allah! Without you we would not have been guided on the right path. Neither would we have given in charity, nor would we have prayed. So please forgive us what we have committed, that is, our defects, let all of us be sacrificed for your cause, and send sakina, that is, calmness, upon us to make our feet firm when we meet our enemy, and if they will call us towards an unjust thing, we will refuse. The infidels have made a hue and cry to ask others help against us. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, on that, asked, Who is that, camel, driver, reciting poetry? The people said, He is Amir bin al-Aqwa. Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, May Allah bestow his mercy on him. A man amongst the people said, O Allah's Prophet! Has martyrdom been granted to him? Would that you let us enjoy his company longer. Then we reached and besieged Khaibar till we were afflicted with severe hunger. Then Allah helped the Muslims conquer it, that is, Khaibar. In the evening of the day of the conquest of the city, the Muslims made huge fires. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, What are these fires? For cooking, what are you making the fire? The people replied, For cooking, meat. He asked, What kind of meat? They, that is, people, said, The meat of donkeys. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Throw away the meat and break the pots. Some man said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Shall we throw away the meat and wash the pots instead? He said, Yes, you can do that too. So when the army files were arranged in rows, for the clash. Amar's sword was short and he aimed at the leg of a Jew to strike it, but the sharp blade of the sword returned to him and injured his own knee, and that caused him to die. When they returned from the battle, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saw me, in a sad mood. He took my hand and said, "What is bothering you?" I replied, "Let my father and mother be sacrificed for you. The people say that the deeds of Amr are lost." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Whoever says so, is mistaken, for Amr has got a double reward." The Prophet raised 2 fingers and added, "He, that is, Amr, was a persevering struggler in the cause of Allah, and there are few Arabs who achieved the like of good deeds Amr had done." Hadith 237. Narrated on us, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, reached Khaybar at night, and it was his habit that whenever he reached the enemy at night, he will not attack them till it was morning. When it was morning, the Jews came out with their spades and baskets, and when they saw him, that is, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, they said, "Muhammad. By Allah! Muhammad and his army." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Khaybar is destroyed, for whenever we approach a hostile nation to fight, then evil will be the morning for those who have been warned." Hadith 238. Narrated Anas bin Malik, we reached Khaybar early in the morning, and the inhabitants of Khaybar came out carrying their spades, and when they saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, they said, "Muhammad. By Allah! Muhammad and his army." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Allahu Akbar. Khaybar is destroyed, for whenever we approach a hostile nation to fight, then evil will be the morning for those who have been warned." We then got the meat of donkeys, and intended to eat it, but an announcement was made by the announcer of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, "Allah and his apostle forbid you to eat the meat of donkeys, as it is an impure thing." Hadith 239. Narrated Anas bin Malik, someone came to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, "The donkeys have been eaten by the Muslims." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, kept quiet. Then the man came again and said, "The donkeys have been eaten." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, kept quiet. The man came to him the 3rd time and said, "The donkeys have been consumed." On that, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered an announcer to announce to the people, "Allah and his apostle forbid you to eat the meat of donkeys." Then the cooking pots were upset while the meat was still boiling in them. Hadith 240. Narrated Anas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offered the Fajr prayer near Khaybar when it was still dark, and then said, "Allahu Akbar. Khaybar is destroyed, for whenever we approach a hostile nation to fight, then evil will be the morning for those who have been warned." Then the inhabitants of Khaybar came out running on the roads. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had their warriors killed, their offspring and women taken as captives. Safiyyah was amongst the captives. She first came in the share of Dihya al-Kalbi, but later on she belonged to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, made her manumission as her mahar. Hadith 241. Narrated Abdul-Aziz bin Suhaib, Anas bin Malik said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, took Safiyyah as a captive. He manumitted her and married her. Thabit asked Anas, what did he give her as mahar, that is, marriage gift? Anas replied, her mahar was herself, for he manumitted her. Hadith 242. Narrated Sahul bin Sa'd as-Sa'idi, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and his army, encountered the pagans, and the 2 armies fought, and then Allah's apostle returned to his army camps, and the others, that is, the enemy, returned to their army camps. Amongst the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, there was a man who could not help pursuing any single isolated pagan to strike him with his sword. Somebody said, none has benefited the Muslims today more than so and so. On that, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, he is from the people of the hellfire certainly. A man amongst the people, that is, Muslims, said, I will accompany him, to know the fact. So he went along with him, and whenever he stopped with him, and whenever he hastened with him. The brave man then got wounded severely, and seeking to die at once, he planted his sword into the ground and put its point against his chest in between his breasts, and then threw himself on it and committed suicide. On that, the person, who was accompanying the deceased all the time, came to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, I testify that you are the Messenger of Allah. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, why is that, what makes you say so? He said, it is concerning the man whom you have already mentioned as one of the dwellers of the hellfire. The people were surprised by your statement, and I said to them, I will try to find out the truth about him for you. So I went out after him, and he was then inflicted with a severe wound, and because of that he hurried to bring death upon himself by planting the handle of his sword into the ground and directing its tip towards his chest between his breasts, and then he threw himself over it and committed suicide. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, then said, a man may do what seem to the people as the deeds of the dwellers of paradise, but he is from the dwellers of the hellfire, and another may do what seem to the people as the deeds of the dwellers of the hellfire, but he is from the dwellers of paradise. Hadīth 243. Narrated Abu Hurairah, we witnessed the Battle of Khaibar. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said about one of those who were with him and who claimed to be a Muslim, this man is from the dwellers of the hellfire. When the battle started, that fellow fought so violently and bravely that he received plenty of wounds. Some of the people were about to doubt the Prophet's statement, but the man, feeling the pain of his wounds, put his hand into his quiver and took out of it some arrows with which he slaughtered himself, that is, committed suicide. Then some men amongst the Muslims came hurriedly and said, O Allah's Apostle! Allah has made your statement true. So-and-so has committed suicide. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O so-and-so! Get up and make an announcement that none but a believer will enter paradise, and that Allah may support the religion with an unchaste, evil, wicked man. Hadīth 244. A narration about the chain of narrators. Hadīth 245. Narrated Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, when Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, fought the battle of Khaibar, or when Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, went towards it, whenever the people passed over a high place overlooking a valley, they raised their voices saying, Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! None has the right to be worshipped except Allah. On that, Allah's Apostle said to them, lower your voices, for you are not calling a deaf or an absent one, but you are calling a hearer who is near and is with you. I was behind the riding animal of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and he heard me saying, there is neither might, nor power but with Allah. On that, he said to me, O Abdullāh bin Qais. I said, Labbaik, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. He said, shall I tell you a sentence which is one of the treasures of paradise? I said, yes, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Let my father and mother be sacrificed for your sake. He said, it is, there is neither might nor power but with Allah. Hadīth 246. Narrated Yazid bin Abi Ubaid, I saw the trace of a wound in Salama's leg. I said to him, O Abu Muslim! What is this wound? He said, this was inflicted on me on the day of Khaibar, and the people said, Salama has been wounded. Then I went to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and he puffed his saliva in it, that is, the wound, thrice, and since then I have not had any pain in it till this hour. Hadīth 247. Narrated Sahih, during one of his Ghazawat, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, encountered the pagans, and the two armies fought, and then each of them returned to their army camps. Amongst the army of the Muslims there was a man who would follow every pagan separated from the army and strike him with his sword. It was said, "O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. None has fought so satisfactorily as so-and-so, namely, that brave Muslim." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "He is from the dwellers of the hellfire." The people said, "Who amongst us will be of the dwellers of paradise, if this man is from the dwellers of the hellfire?" Then a man from amongst the people said, "I will follow him and accompany him in his fast and slow movements." The brave man got wounded, and wanting to die at once, he put the handle of his sword on the ground and its tip in between his breasts, and then threw himself over it, committing suicide. Then the man, who had watched the deceased, returned to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, "I testify that you are apostle of Allah." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "What is this?" The man told him the whole story. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "A man may do what may seem to the people as the deeds of the dwellers of paradise, but he is of the dwellers of the hellfire, and a man may do what may seem to the people as the deeds of the dwellers of the hellfire, but he is from the dwellers of paradise." Hadith 248. Narrated Abu Imran, Anas looked at the people wearing tail sands, that is, a special kind of head covering worn by Jews in old days. On that, Anas said, "At this moment they, that is, those people, look like the Jews of Khaibar." Hadith 249. Narrated Salama, Ali remained behind the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, during the Ghazwa of Khaibar as he was suffering from eye trouble. He then said, "How can I remain behind the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him," and followed him. So when he slept on the night of the conquest of Khaibar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "I will give the flag tomorrow, or tomorrow the flag will be taken by a man who is loved by Allah and his apostle, and Khaibar will be conquered through him, with Allah's help." While every one of us was hopeful to have the flag, it was said, "Here is Ali," and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, gave him the flag, and Khaibar was conquered through him, with Allah's help. Hadith 250. Narrated Sahal bin Sa'd, on the day of Khaibar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Tomorrow I will give this flag to a man through whose hands Allah will give us victory. He loves Allah and his apostle, and he is loved by Allah and his apostle." The people remained that night, wondering as to who would be given it. In the morning, the people went to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and every one of them was hopeful to receive it, that is, the flag. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Where is Ali bin Abi Talib?" It was said, "He is suffering from eye trouble, O Allah's apostle." He said, "Send for him." Ali was brought, and Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, spat in his eye and invoked good upon him. So Ali was cured as if he never had any trouble. Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, gave him the flag. Ali said, "O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. I will fight with them till they become like us." Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Proceed and do not hurry. When you enter their territory, call them to embrace Islam and inform them of Allah's rights which they should observe, for by Allah, even if a single man is led on the right path of Islam, by Allah through you, then that will be better for you than the nice red camels." Hadith 251. Narrated Anas bin Malik, we arrived at Khaibar, and when Allah helped his apostle to open the fort, the beauty of Safiyyah bint Huyay bin Akhtab, whose husband had been killed while she was a bride, was mentioned to Allah's apostle. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, selected her for himself, and set out with her, and when we reached a place called Sud as-Sabah, Safiyyah became clean from her menses. Then Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, married her. Hais, that is, an Arabian dish, was prepared on a small leather mat. Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to me, "Invite the people around you." So that was the marriage banquet of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and Safiyyah. Then we proceeded towards Medina, and I saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, making for her a kind of cushion with his cloak behind him, on his camel. He then sat beside his camel and put his knee for Safiyyah to put her foot on, in order to ride, on the camel. Hadith 252. Narrated Anas bin Malik, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, stayed with Safiyyah bint Huyai for 3 days on the way of Khaibar, where he consummated his marriage with her. Safiyyah was amongst those who were ordered to use a veil. Hadith 253. Narrated Anas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, stayed for 3 nights between Khaibar and Medina and was married to Safiyyah. I invited the Muslims to his marriage banquet, and there was neither meat nor bread in that banquet, but the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered Bilal to spread the leather mats on which dates, dried yogurt and butter were put. The Muslims said amongst themselves, "Will she, that is, Safiyyah, be one of the mothers of the believers, that is, one of the wives of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, or just, a lady captive, of what his right hand possesses?" Some of them said, "If the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, makes her observe the veil, then she will be one of the mothers of the believers, that is, one of the Prophet's wives, and if he does not make her observe the veil, then she will be his lady slave." So when he departed, he made a place for her behind him, on his camel, and made her observe the veil. Hadith 254. Narrated Abdullāh bin Mughaffal, while we were besieging Khaibar, a person threw a leather container containing some fat, and I ran to take it. Suddenly I looked behind, and behold, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was there. So I felt shy to take it then. Hadith 255. Narrated Ibn Umar, on the day of Khaibar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, forbade the eating of garlic and the meat of donkeys. Hadith 256. Narrated Ali bin Abi Talib, on the day of Khaibar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, forbade the mut'ah, that is, temporary marriage, and the eating of donkey meat. Hadith 257. Narrated Ibn Umar, on the day of Khaibar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, forbade the eating of donkey meat. Hadith 258. Narrated Ibn Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, forbade the eating of donkey meat. Hadith 259. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh, on the day of Khaibar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, forbade the eating of donkey meat and allowed the eating of horse meat. Hadith 260. Narrated Ibn Abi Awfa, we were afflicted with severe hunger on the day of Khaibar. While the cooking pots were boiling and some of the food was well cooked, the announcer of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, came to say, "Do not eat anything of the donkey meat and upset the cooking pots." We then thought that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had prohibited such food because the kumus had not been taken out of it. Some others said, he prohibited the meat of donkeys from the point of view of principle, because donkeys used to eat dirty things. Hadith 261. Narrated Al-Barā and Abdullāh bin Abi Awfa, that when they were in the company of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, they got some donkeys which they slaughtered and cooked. Then the announcer of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Turn the cooking pots upside down, that is, throw out the meat." Hadith 262. Narrated Al-Barā and Ibn Abi Awfa, on the day of Khaibar, when the cooking pots were put on the fire, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Turn the cooking pots upside down." Hadith 263. Narrated Al-Barā, we took part in a Ghazwa with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, same as the hadith before. Hadith 264. Narrated Al-Barā bin Azib, during the Ghazwa of Khaibar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered us to throw away the meat of the donkeys whether it was still raw or cooked. He did not allow us to eat it later on. Hadīth 265. Narrated Ibn Abbas, I do not know whether the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, forbade the eating of donkey meat, temporarily, because they were the beasts of burden for the people, and he disliked that their means of transportation should be lost, or he forbade it on the day of Khaibar permanently. Hadīth 266. Narrated Ibn Umar, on the day of Khaibar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, divided the war booty of Khaibar, with the ratio of 2 shares for the horse and 1 share for the foot soldier. The sub-narrator, Nafi, explained this, saying, if a man had a horse, he was given 3 shares, and if he had no horse, then he was given 1 share. Hadīth 267. Narrated Jubayr bin Mut'im, Uthman bin Affan and I went to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, you had given Banu al-Muttalib from the Kumus of Khaibar's booty and left us, in spite of the fact that we and Banu al-Muttalib are similarly related to you. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Banu Hashim and Banu al-Muttalib only are one and the same. So the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, did not give anything to Banu Abd Shams and Banu Nawfal. Hadīth 268. Narrated Abu Musa, the news of the migration of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, from Mecca to Medina, reached us while we were in Yemen. So we set out as emigrants towards him. We were 3, I and my 2 brothers. I was the youngest of them, and one of the 2 was Abu Burda, and the other, Abu Rum, and our total number was either 53 or 52 men from my people. We got on board a boat and our boat took us to Negus in Ethiopia. There we met Ja'far bin Abi Talib and stayed with him. Then we all came to Medina, and met the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, at the time of the conquest of Khaibar. Some of the people used to say to us, namely the people of the ship, we have migrated before you. Ismā bint Umais, who was one of those who had come with us, came as a visitor to Hafsa, the wife of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. She had migrated along with those other Muslims who migrated to Negus. Umar came to Hafsa while Ismā bint Umais was with her. Umar, on seeing Ismā, said, who is this? She said, Ismā bint Umais. Umar said, is she the Ethiopian? Is she the seafaring lady? Ismā replied, yes. Umar said, we have migrated before you, people of the boat, so we have got more right than you over Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. On that, Ismā became angry and said, no, by Allah, while you were with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, who was feeding the hungry ones amongst you, and advised the ignorant ones amongst you, we were in the far-off hated land of Ethiopia, and all that was for the sake of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. By Allah, I will neither eat any food nor drink anything till I inform Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, of all that you have said. There we were harmed and frightened. I will mention this to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and will not tell a lie or curtail your saying or add something to it. Hadīth 269. So when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, came, she said, O Allah's Prophet, Umar has said so and so. He said, to Ismā, what did you say to him? Ismā said, I told him so and so. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, he, that is, Umar, has not got more right than you people over me, as he and his companions have the reward of only 1 migration, and you, the people of the boat, have the reward of 2 migrations. Ismā later on said, I saw Abu Musa and the other people of the boat coming to me in successive groups, asking me about this narration, and to them nothing in the world was more cheerful and greater than what the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had said about them. Narrated Abu Burda, Ismā said, I saw Abu Musa requesting me to repeat this narration again and again. Hadith 270. Narrated Abu Burda, Abu Musa said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, I recognize the voice of the group of al-Ash'ariyun when they recite the Quran, when they enter their homes at night, and I recognize their houses by listening to their voices when they are reciting the Quran at night, although I have not seen their houses when they came to them during the daytime. Amongst them is Hakim who, on meeting the cavalry or the enemy, used to say to them, that is, the enemy, my companions order you to wait for them. Hadith 271. Narrated Abu Musa, we came upon the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, after he had conquered Khaibar. He then gave us a share from the booty, but apart from us he did not give to anybody else who did not attend the conquest. Hadith 272. Narrated Abu Hurairah, when we conquered Khaibar, we gained neither gold nor silver as booty, but we gained cows, camels, goods and gardens. Then we departed with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, to the valley of Al-Qura, and at that time Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, had a slave called Midam who had been presented to him by one of Banu ad-Dabab. While the slave was dismounting the saddle of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, an arrow, the thrower of which was unknown, came and hit him. The people said, congratulations to him for the martyrdom. Allah's apostle said, no, by him in whose hand my soul is, the sheet of cloth, which he had taken, illegally, on the day of Khaibar from the booty before the distribution of the booty has become a flame of fire burning him. On hearing that, a man brought 1 or 2 leather straps of shoes to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, these are things I took, illegally. On that, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, this is a strap, or these are 2 straps of fire. Hadith 273. Narrated Umar bin Al-Khattab, by him in whose hand my soul is, were I not afraid that the other Muslims might be left in poverty, I would divide the land of whatever village I may conquer among the fighters, as the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, divided the land of Khaibar. But I prefer to leave it as a source of a common treasury for them to distribute its revenue amongst themselves. Hadith 274. Narrated Umar, but for the other Muslims, that is, coming generations, I would divide the land of whatever villages the Muslims might conquer among the fighters, as the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, divided the land of Khaibar. Hadith 275. Narrated Anbasah bin Sa'id, Abu Hurairah came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and asked him for a share from the Khaibar booty. On that, one of the sons of Sa'id bin al-As said to him, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, do not give him. Abu Hurairah then said to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, this is the murderer of Ibn Kawkal. Sa'id's son said, how strange. A guinea pig coming from Qadum ad-Dan. Hadith 276. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, sent Aban from Medina to Najd as the commander of a Sariyah. Aban and his companions came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, at Khaibar after the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had conquered it, and the reins of their horses were made of the fiber of date palm trees. I said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, do not give them a share of the booty. On that, Aban said to me, strange. You suggest such a thing, though you are what you are, O guinea pig coming down from the top of Ad-Dan, a lotus tree. On that, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O Aban, sit down, and did not give them any share. Hadith 277. Narrated Sa'id, Aban bin Sa'id came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and greeted him. Abu Hurairah said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. This, Aban, is the murderer of Ibn Kawkal. On hearing that, Aban said to Abu Hurairah, how strange your saying is. You, a guinea pig, descending from Qadum Dan, blaming me for killing a person whom Allah favored with martyrdom, with my hand, and whom He forbade to degrade me with His hand. Hadith 278. Narrated Aisha, Fatima, the daughter of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sent someone to Abu Bakr, when he was a caliph, asking for her inheritance of what Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, had left of the property bestowed on him by Allah from the Fa'i, that is, booty gained without fighting, in Medina, and Fadak, and what remained of the Kumus of the Khaybar booty. On that, Abu Bakr said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, our property is not inherited. Whatever we leave, is sadaqah, but the family of the Prophet, Muhammad can eat of this property. By Allah, I will not make any change in the state of the sadaqah of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and will leave it as it was during the lifetime of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and will dispose of it as Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to do. So Abu Bakr refused to give anything of that to Fatima. So she became angry with Abu Bakr and kept away from him, and did not talk to him till she died. She remained alive for 6 months after the death of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. When she died, her husband Ali buried her at night without informing Abu Bakr, and he said the funeral prayer by himself. When Fatima was alive, the people used to respect Ali much, but after her death, Ali noticed a change in the people's attitude towards him. So Ali sought reconciliation with Abu Bakr and gave him an oath of allegiance. Ali had not given the oath of allegiance during those months, that is, the period between the Prophet's death and Fatima's death. Ali sent someone to Abu Bakr saying, come to us, but let nobody come with you, as he disliked that Umar should come. Umar said to Abu Bakr, no, by Allah, you shall not enter upon them alone. Abu Bakr said, what do you think they will do to me? By Allah, I will go to them. So Abu Bakr entered upon them, and then Ali uttered tashahhud and said, to Abu Bakr, we know well your superiority and what Allah has given you, and we are not jealous of the good what Allah has bestowed upon you, but you did not consult us in the question of the rule, and we thought that we have got a right in it because of our near relationship to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Thereupon Abu Bakr's eyes flowed with tears. And when Abu Bakr spoke, he said, by him in whose hand my soul is, to keep good relations with the relatives of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, is dearer to me than to keep good relations with my own relatives. But as for the trouble which arose between me and you about his property, I will do my best to spend it according to what is good, and will not leave any rule or regulation which I saw Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, following and disposing of it, but I will follow. On that, Ali said to Abu Bakr, I promise to give you the oath of allegiance in this afternoon. So when Abu Bakr had offered the Zuhr prayer, he ascended the pulpit and uttered the tashahhud and then mentioned the story of Ali and his failure to give the oath of allegiance, and excused him, accepting what excuses he had offered. Then Ali got up, and praying to Allah for forgiveness, he uttered tashahhud, praised Abu Bakr's right, and said that he had not done what he had done because of jealousy of Abu Bakr or as a protest of what Allah had favored him with. Ali added, but we used to consider that we too had some right in this affair of rulership, and that he, that is, Abu Bakr, did not consult us in this matter, and therefore caused us to feel sorry. On that, all the Muslims became happy and said, you have done the right thing. The Muslims then became friendly with Ali as he returned to what the people had done, that is, giving the oath of allegiance to Abu Bakr. Hadith 279. Narrated Aisha, when Khaybar was conquered, we said, now we will eat our fill of dates. Hadith 280. Narrated Ibn Umar, we did not eat our fill except after we had conquered Khaybar. Hadith 281. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri and Abu Huraira, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, appointed a man as the ruler of Khaybar, who later brought some janib, that is, dates of good quality, to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. On that, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said to him, "Are all the dates of Khaybar like this?" He said, "No, by Allah, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. But we take one saw of these, dates of good quality, for 2 or 3 saws of other dates, of inferior quality." On that, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Do not do so, but first sell the inferior quality dates for money, and then with that money buy janib." Hadith 282. Abu Sa'id and Abu Hurairah said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, made the brother of Bani Adi from the Ansar as the ruler of Khaybar. Hadith 283. Narrated Abdullāh, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, gave the land of Khaybar to the Jews of Khaybar, on condition that they would work on it and cultivate it, and they would have half of its yield. Hadith 284. Narrated Abu Hurairah, when Khaybar was conquered, a cooked sheep containing poison was given as a present to Allah's apostle. Hadith 285. Narrated Ibn Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, appointed Usama bin Zaid as the commander of some people. Those people criticized his leadership. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "If you speak ill of his leadership, you have already spoken ill of his father's leadership before. By Allah, he deserved to be a commander, and he was one of the most beloved persons to me, and now this, that is, Usama, is one of the most beloved persons to me after him." Hadith 286. Narrated Al-Bara, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, went out for the Umrah in the month of Dhul-Qa'dah, the people of Makkah did not allow him to enter Makkah till he agreed to conclude a peace treaty with them by virtue of which he would stay in Makkah for 3 days only, in the following year. When the agreement was being written, the Muslims wrote, "This is the peace treaty, which Muhammad, apostle of Allah, has concluded." The infidels said, to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, "We do not agree with you on this, for if we knew that you are apostle of Allah, we would not have prevented you for anything, that is, entering Makkah, etc., but you are Muhammad, the son of Abdullāh." Then he said to Ali, "Erase the name of apostle of Allah." Ali said, "No, by Allah, I will never erase you, that is, your name." Then Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, took the writing sheet, and he did not know a better writing, and he wrote or got it the following written, "This is the peace treaty which Muhammad, the son of Abdullāh, has concluded. Muhammad should not bring arms into Makkah except sheathed swords, and should not take with him any person of the people of Makkah even if such a person wanted to follow him, and if any of his companions wants to stay in Makkah, he should not forbid him." In the next year, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, entered Makkah and the allowed period of stay elapsed, the infidels came to Ali and said, "Tell your companion, Muhammad, to go out, as the allowed period of his stay has finished." So the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, departed from Makkah, and the daughter of Hamza followed him shouting, "O uncle, O uncle." Ali took her by the hand and said to Fatima, "Take the daughter of your uncle." So she made her ride, on her horse. When they reached Medina, Ali, Zayd and Ja'far quarreled about her. Ali said, "I took her for she is the daughter of my uncle." Ja'far said, "She is the daughter of my uncle and her aunt is my wife." Zayd said, "She is the daughter of my brother." On that, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, gave her to her aunt and said, "The aunt is of the same status as the mother." He then said to Ali, "You are from me, and I am from you," and said to Ja'far, "You resemble me in appearance and character," and said to Zayd, "You are our brother and our freed slave." Ali said to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, "Won't you marry the daughter of Hamza?" The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "She is the daughter of my foster brother." Hadith 287. Narrated Ibn Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, set out with the intention of performing Umrah, but the infidels of Quraysh intervened between him and the Kaaba, so the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, slaughtered his hadi, that is, sacrificing animals, and shaved his head at Al-Hudaibiya and concluded a peace treaty with them, that is, the infidels, on condition that he would perform the Umrah the next year, and that he would not carry arms against them except swords, and would not stay in Mecca more than what they would allow. So the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, performed the Umrah in the following year, and according to the peace treaty, he entered Mecca, and when he had stayed there for 3 days, the infidels ordered him to leave, and he left. Hadith 288. Narrated Mujahid, Urwa and I entered the mosque and found Abdullāh bin Umar sitting beside the dwelling place of Aisha. Urwa asked, Ibn Umar, how many Umrahs did the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, perform? Ibn Umar replied, 4, one of which was in Rajab. Then we heard Aisha brushing her teeth, whereupon Urwa said, O mother of the believers! Don't you hear what Abu Abdur-Rahman is saying? He is saying that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, performed 4 Umrah, one of which was in Rajab. Aisha said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, did not perform any Umrah but he, that is, Ibn Umar, witnessed it. And he, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, never did any Umrah in the month of Rajab. Hadith 289. Narrated Ibn Abi Awfa, when Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, performed the Umrah, which he performed in the year following the Treaty of Al-Hudaibiya, we were screening Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, from the infidels and their boys, lest they should harm him. Hadith 290. Narrated Ibn Abbas, when Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and his companions arrived at Mecca, the pagans said, there have come to you a group of people who have been weakened by the fever of Yathrib, that is, Medina. So the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered his companions to do Ramal, that is, fast walking, in the first 3 rounds of Tawaf around the Kaaba and to walk in between the 2 corners, that is, the Black Stone and the Yemenite corner. The only cause which prevented the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, from ordering them to do Ramal in all the rounds of Tawaf was that he pitted them. Hadith 291. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, hastened in going around the Kaaba and between the Safa and Marwa, in order to show the pagans his strength. Ibn Abbas added, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, arrived at Mecca, in the year of peace, following that of Al-Hudaibiya treaty with the pagans of Mecca, he ordered his companions to do Ramal in order to show their strength to the pagans. Hadith 292. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, married Maymuna while he was in the state of Ihram, but he consummated that marriage after finishing that state. Maymuna died at Sarif, that is, a place near Mecca. Hadith 293. Ibn Abbas added, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, married Maymuna during the Umra Al-Qada, that is, the Umrah performed in lieu of the Umrah which the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, could not perform because the pagans prevented him to perform that Umrah. Hadith 294. Narrated Nafi, Ibn Umar informed me that on the day of Mu'tah, he stood beside Ja'far who was dead, that is, killed in the battle, and he counted 50 wounds in his body, caused by stabs or strokes, and none of those wounds was in his back. Hadith 295. Abdullāh bin Umar said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, appointed Zayd bin Haritha as the commander of the army during the Ghazwa of Mu'tah and said, if Zayd is martyred, Ja'far should take over his position, and if Ja'far is martyred, Abdullāh bin Rawaha should take over his position. Abdullāh bin Umar further said, I was present amongst them in that battle, and we searched for Ja'far bin Abi Talib and found his body amongst the bodies of the martyred ones, and found over 90 wounds over his body, caused by stabs or shots of arrows. Hadith 296. Narrated Anas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had informed the people of the martyrdom of Zayd, Ja'far and Ibn Rawaha before the news of their death reached. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Zayd took the flag, as the commander of the army, and was martyred, then Ja'far took it and was martyred, and then Ibn Rawaha took it and was martyred. At that time the Prophet's eyes were shedding tears. He added, then the flag was taken by a sword amongst the swords of Allah, that is, Khalid, and Allah made them, that is, the Muslims, victorious. Hadith 297. Narrated Umrah, I heard Aisha saying, when the news of the martyrdom of Ibn Haritha, Ja'far bin Abi Talib and Abdullāh bin Rawaha reached, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, sat with sorrow explicit on his face. Aisha added, I was then peeping through a chink in the door. A man came to him and said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. The women of Ja'far are crying. Thereupon the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, told him to forbid them to do so. So the man went away and returned saying, I forbade them but they did not listen to me. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered him again to go, and forbid them. He went again and came saying, by Allah, they overpowered me, that is, did not listen to me. Aisha said that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said to him, go and throw dust into their mouths. Aisha added, I said, may Allah put your nose in the dust. By Allah, neither have you done what you have been ordered, nor have you relieved Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, from trouble. Hadith 298. Narrated Amr, whenever Ibn Umar greeted the son of Ja'far, he used to say, to him, As-salam alayka, that is, peace be on you, O the son of two-winged person. Hadith 299. Narrated Khalid bin Al-Walid, on the day of the battle of Mu'tah, 9 swords were broken in my hand, and nothing was left in my hand except a Yemenite sword of mine. Hadith 300. Narrated Khalid bin Al-Walid, on the day of Mu'tah, 9 swords were broken in my hand and only a Yemenite sword of mine remained in my hand. Hadith 301. Narrated An-Nu'man bin Bashir, Abdullāh bin Rawaha fell down unconscious and his sister Umrah started crying and was saying loudly, O Jaballah! Oh so-and-so! Oh so-and-so, and went on calling him by his good qualities one by one. When he came to his senses, he said to his sister, whenever you said something, I was asked, are you really so, that is, as she says? Hadith 302. Narrated Ash-Sha'bi, An-Nu'man bin Bashir said, Abdullāh bin Rawaha fell down unconscious. And mentioned the above hadith adding, thereupon, when he died, she, that is, his sister, did not weep over him. Hadith 303. Narrated Usama bin Zaid, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, sent us towards Al-Huraqat, and in the morning we attacked them and defeated them. I and an Ansari man followed a man from among them and when we took him over, he said, there is no God worthy of worship but Allah. On hearing that, the Ansari man stopped, but I killed him by stabbing him with my spear. When we returned, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, came to know about that and he said, O Usama! Did you kill him after he had said, there is no God worthy of worship but Allah? I said, but he said so only to save himself. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, kept on repeating that so often that I wished I had not embraced Islam before that day. Hadith 304. Narrated Salamah bin al-Aqwa, I fought in 7 Ghazwat, that is, battles, along with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and fought in 9 battles fought by armies dispatched by the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Once Abu Bakr was our commander, and at another time Usama was our commander. Hadith 305. Narrated Salamah, in another narration, I fought 7 Ghazwat, that is, battles, along with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and also fought in 9 battles, fought by armies sent by the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Once Abu Bakr was our commander, and another time Usama was our commander. Hadith 306. Narrated Salamah bin al-Aqwa, I fought in 9 Ghazwat along with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. I also fought along with Ibn Haritha when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, made him our commander. Hadith 307. Narrated Yazid bin Abi Ubaid, Salamah bin al-Aqwa said, I fought in 7 Ghazwat along with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. He then mentioned Khaibar, Al-Hudaibiya, the day, that is, battle, of Hunayn and the day of Al-Qarad. I forgot the names of the other Ghazwat. Hadith 308. Narrated Ali, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, sent me, Az-Zubayr and Al-Miqdad saying, proceed till you reach Rawdat where there is a lady carrying a letter, and take that letter from her. So we proceeded on our way with our horses galloping till we reached the Rawdah, and there we found the lady and said to her, take out the letter. She said, I have no letter. We said, take out the letter, or else we will take off your clothes. So she took it out of her braid, and we brought the letter to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. The letter was addressed from Hatib bin Abi Balta'ah to some pagans of Makkah, telling them about what Allah's Apostle intended to do. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O Hatib, what is this? Hatib replied, O Allah's Apostle, do not make a hasty decision about me. I was a person not belonging to Quraysh, but I was an ally to them from outside and had no blood relation with them, and all the emigrants who were with you have got their kinsmen, in Makkah, who can protect their families and properties. So I like to do them a favor so that they might protect my relatives as I have no blood relation with them. I did not do this to renegade from my religion, that is, Islam, nor did I do it to choose heathenism after Islam. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said to his companions, as regards him, he, that is, Hatib, has told you the truth. Umar said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, allow me to chop off the head of this hypocrite. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, he, that is, Hatib, has witnessed the Badr battle, that is, fought in it, and what could tell you, perhaps Allah looked at those who witnessed Badr and said, O the people of Badr, that is, Badr Muslim warriors, do what you like, for I have forgiven you. Then Allah revealed the surah, O you who believe. Take not my enemies and your enemies as friends, offering them your love even though they have disbelieved in that truth, that is, Allah, Prophet Muhammad and this Quran, which has come to you, to the end of verse, and whosoever of you, Muslims, does that, then indeed he has gone far astray, away from the straight path. Surah 60, Ayah 1. Hadith 309. Narrated Ubaydullah bin Abdullāh bin Utbah, Ibn Abbas said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, fought the Ghazwa, that is, battles, of Al-Fath during Ramadan. Narrated Az-Zuhri, Ibn al-Musayyab, also, said the same. Ibn Abbas added, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, fasted, and when he reached Al-Qadid, a place where there is water between Qudayd and Usfan, he broke his fast and did not fast afterwards till the whole month had passed away. Hadith 310. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, left Medina, for Makkah, in the company of 10,000 Muslim warriors, in the month of Ramadan, and that was 8.5 years after his migration to Medina. He and the Muslims who were with him proceeded on their way to Makkah. He was fasting and they were fasting, but when they reached a place called Al-Qadid, which was a place of water between Usfan and Qudayd, he broke his fast and so did they. Az-Zuhri said, one should take the last action of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and leave his early action, while taking a verdict. Hadīth 311. Narrated Ibn Abbas, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, set out towards Hunayn in the month of Ramadan. And some of the people were fasting while some others were not fasting, and when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, mounted his she-camel, he asked for a tumbler of milk or water and put it on the palm of his hand or on his she-camel, and then the people looked at him, and those who were not fasting told those who were fasting to break their fast, that is, as the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had done so. Hadīth 312. Ibn Abbas added, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, went to Hunayn in the year of the conquest of Makkah. Hadīth 313. Narrated Tawus, Ibn Abbas said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, traveled in the month of Ramadan and he fasted till he reached a place called Usfan. Then he asked for a tumbler of water and drank it by the daytime so that the people might see him. He broke his fast till he reached Makkah. Ibn Abbas used to say, Allah's Apostle fasted and sometimes did not fast while traveling, so one may fast or may not, on journeys. Hadīth 314. Narrated Hisham's father, when Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, set out towards Makkah, during the year of the conquest of Makkah, and this news reached the infidels of Quraysh, Abu Sufyan, Hakim bin Hizam and Budayl bin Warqa came out to gather information about Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. They proceeded on their way till they reached a place called Mar az-Zahran, which is near Makkah. Behold! There they saw many fires as if they were the fires of Arafat. Abu Sufyan said, What is this? It looked like the fires of Arafat. Budayl bin Warqa said, Banu Amr are less in number than that. Some of the guards of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saw them and took them over, caught them and brought them to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Abu Sufyan embraced Islam. When the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, proceeded, he said to Al-Abbas, Keep Abu Sufyan standing at the top of the mountain so that he would look at the Muslims. So Al-Abbas kept him standing at that place, and the tribes with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, started passing in front of Abu Sufyan in military batches. A batch passed and Abu Sufyan said, O Abbas, who are these? Abbas said, They are Banu Ghifar. Abu Sufyan said, I have got nothing to do with Ghifar. Then, a batch of the tribe of Juhayna passed by and he said similarly as above. Then, a batch of the tribe of Sa'd bin Huzaym passed by and he said similarly as above. Then, Banu Sulaym passed by and he said similarly as above. Then came a batch, the like of which Abu Sufyan had not seen. He said, Who are these? Abbas said, They are the Ansar headed by Sa'd bin Ubadah, the one holding the flag. Sa'd bin Ubadah said, O Abu Sufyan! Today is the day of a great battle and today, what is prohibited in the Kaaba will be permissible. Abu Sufyan said, O Abbas! How excellent the day of destruction is! Then came another batch of warriors, which was the smallest of all the batches, and in it there was Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and his companions, and the flag of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was carried by Az-Zubayr bin al-Awwam. When Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, passed by Abu Sufyan, the latter said, to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, Do you know what Sa'd bin Ubadah said? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, What did he say? Abu Sufyan said, He said so and so. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Sa'd told a lie, but today Allah will give superiority to the Kaaba and today the Kaaba will be covered with a cloth covering. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered that his flag be fixed at Al-Hajjun. Narrated Urwa, Nafi bin Jubayr bin Mut'im said, I heard Al-Abbas saying to Az-Zubayr bin al-Awwam, O Abu Abdullāh! Did Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, order you to fix the flag here? Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered Khalid bin Al-Walid to enter Makkah from its upper part from Qada, while the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, himself entered from Qada. 2 men from the cavalry of Khalid bin Al-Walid named Hubaysh bin al-Ash'ar and Qurs bin Jabir al-Fihri were martyred on that day. Hadith 315. Narrated Abdullāh bin Mughaffal, I saw Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, on the day of the conquest of Makkah over his she-camel, reciting Surah Al-Fath in a vibrant quivering tone. The sub-narrator, Muawiyah, added, were I not afraid that the people may gather around me, I would recite in vibrant quivering tone as he, that is, Abdullāh bin Mughaffal, did, imitating Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Hadith 316. Narrated Amr bin Uthman, Usama bin Zaid said during the conquest of Makkah, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, where will we encamp tomorrow? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, but has Aqil left for us any house to lodge in? He then added, no believer will inherit an infidel's property, and no infidel will inherit the property of a believer. Az-Zuhri was asked, who inherited Abu Talib? Az-Zuhri replied, Aqil and Talib inherited him. Hadith 317. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, if Allah makes us victorious, our encamping place will be Al-Qaif, the place where the infidels took an oath to be loyal to heathenism, by boycotting Banu Hashim, the Prophet's folk. Hadith 318. Narrated Abu Hurairah, when Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, intended to carry on the Ghazwa of Hunain, he said, tomorrow, if Allah wished, our encamping place will be Qaif Bani Kinana, where, the infidels, took an oath to be loyal to heathenism. Hadith 319. Narrated Anas bin Malik, on the day of the conquest, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, entered Makkah, wearing a helmet on his head. When he took it off, a man came and said, Ibn Qutl is clinging to the curtain of the Kaaba. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, kill him. Malik, a sub-narrator, said, on that day, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was not in a state of ihram as it appeared to us, and Allah knows better. Hadith 320. Narrated Abdullāh, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, entered Makkah on the day of the conquest, there were 360 idols around the Kaaba. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, started striking them with a stick he had in his hand and was saying, truth has come and falsehood will neither start nor will it reappear. Hadith 321. Narrated Ibn Abbas, when Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, arrived in Makkah, he refused to enter the Kaaba while there were idols in it. So he ordered that they be taken out. The pictures of the prophets, Abraham and Ishmael, holding arrows of divination in their hands, were carried out. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, may Allah ruin them, that is, the infidels, for they knew very well that they, that is, Abraham and Ishmael, never drew lots by these divination arrows. Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, entered the Kaaba and said, Allahu Akbar, in all its directions and came out, and did not offer any prayer therein. Hadith 322. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, entered Makkah through its upper part and he was riding his she-camel. Usama bin Zaid was his companion rider behind him, on the same she-camel. In his company were Bilal and Uthman bin Talha, who was one of the Al-Hujabah, who keep the key of the gate of the Kaaba. When he made his she-camel kneel down in the mosque, that is, Al-Masjid al-Haram, he ordered him, that is, Uthman, to bring the key of the Kaaba. Then Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, entered the Kaaba along with Usama bin Zaid, Bilal and Uthman bin Talha, and he stayed in it for a long period and then came out. The people rushed to get in, and Abdullāh bin Umar was the first to enter, and he found Bilal standing behind the door. Ibn Umar asked Bilal, "Where did Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, offer the salat, prayer?" Bilal showed him the place where he, peace and blessings be upon him, had offered salat, prayer. Abdullāh later on said, "I forgot to ask Bilal how many prostrations, that is, rak'ah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offered." Hadith 323. Narrated Aisha, during the year of the conquest of Makkah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, entered Makkah through Qada, which was at the upper part of Makkah. Hadith 324. Narrated Hisham's father, during the year of the conquest of Makkah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, entered Makkah through its upper part through Qada. Hadith 325. Narrated Ibn Abi Layla, none informed us that he saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offering the duha, that is, forenoon, prayer, except Hani, who mentioned that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, took a bath in her house on the day of the conquest of Makkah, and then offered an 8-rakat prayer. She added, "I never saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offering a lighter prayer than that prayer, but he was performing perfect bowing and prostrations." Hadith 326. Narrated Aisha, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to say in his bowings and prostrations, "Glorified be you, O Allah, our Lord. All the praises are for you. O Allah, forgive me." Hadith 327. Narrated Ibn Abbas, Umar used to admit me into his house, along with the old men who had fought in the Badr battle. Some of them said to Umar, "Why do you allow this young man to enter with us, while we have sons of his own age?" Umar said, "You know what person he is." One day, Umar called them and called me along with them. I had thought he called me on that day to show them something about me, that is, my knowledge. Umar asked them, "What do you say about the surah, when comes the help of Allah and the conquest of Makkah? And you see mankind entering the religion of Allah, that is, Islam, in crowds. So celebrate the praises of your Lord and ask for his forgiveness. Truly, he is the one who accepts repentance and forgives." Surah 110, Ayat 1-3. Some of them replied, "We are ordered to praise Allah and repent to him if we are helped and granted victory." Some said, "We do not know." Others kept quiet. Umar then said to me, "Do you say similarly?" I said, "No." Umar said, "What do you say then?" I said, "This verse indicates the approaching of the death of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, of which Allah informed him. When comes the help of Allah and the conquest, that is, the conquest of Makkah, that will be the sign of your prophets, approaching death, so testify the uniqueness of your Lord, that is, Allah, and praise him and repent to him as he is ready to forgive." On that, Umar said, "I do not know about it anything other than what you know." Hadith 328. Narrated Abu Shuraih al-Adawi, that he said to Amr bin Sa'id while the latter was sending troops in batches to Makkah, "O chief, allow me to tell you a statement which Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said on the second day of the conquest of Makkah. My 2 ears heard it and my heart remembered it and my 2 eyes saw him when he said it. He, that is, the Prophet, praised Allah and then said, Makkah has been made a sanctuary by Allah and not by the people, so it is not lawful for a person who believes in Allah and the last day to shed blood in it, or to cut its trees. And if someone asks the permission to fight in Makkah because Allah's apostle was allowed to fight in it, say to him, Allah permitted his apostle and did not allow you, and even he, that is, the apostle, was allowed for a short period of the day, and today its, Makkah's, sanctity has become the same as it was before, of old, so those who are present should inform those who are absent." This hadith. Then Abu Shuraih was asked, "What did Amr say to you?" Abu Shuraih said, he said, I knew that better than you, O Abu Shuraih. The haram, that is, Makkah, does not give refuge to a sinner or a fleeing murderer or a person running away after causing destruction. Hadith 329. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh, that he heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying in the year of the conquest of Makkah, while he was in Makkah, Allah and His Apostle have made the selling of wine, that is, alcoholic drinks, unlawful. Hadith 330. Narrated Anas, we stayed, in Makkah, for 10 days along with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and used to offer shortened prayers, that is, journey prayers. Hadith 331. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, stayed in Makkah for 19 days during which he prayed 2 rakat in each prayer. Hadith 332. Narrated Ikrimah, Ibn Abbas said, we stayed for 19 days with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, on a journey during which we used to offer shortened prayers. Ibn Abbas added, we offer the qasr prayer, that is, shortened prayer, if we stay up to 19 days as travelers, but if we stay longer, we offer complete prayers. Hadith 333. Narrated Abdullāh bin Thalabah bin Suayr, whose face was rubbed by the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, during the year of the conquest of Makkah. Hadith 334. Narrated Az-Zuhri, while we were in the company of Ibn al-Musayyab, Sunayn Abi Jamila informed us, a hadith, Abu Jamila said that he lived during the lifetime of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and that he had accompanied him to Makkah during the year of the conquest of Makkah. Hadith 335. Narrated Amr bin Salama, we were at a place which was a thoroughfare for the people, and the caravans used to pass by us and we would ask them, what is wrong with the people? What is wrong with the people? Who is that man? They would say, that man claims that Allah has sent him, as an apostle, that he has been divinely inspired, that Allah has revealed to him such and such. I used to memorize that, divine, talk, and feel as if it was inculcated in my chest, that is, mind. And the Arabs, other than Quraysh, delayed their conversion to Islam till the conquest of Makkah. They used to say, leave him, that is, Muhammad, and his people Quraysh, if he overpowers them, then he is a true prophet. So, when Makkah was conquered, then every tribe rushed to embrace Islam, and my father hurried to embrace Islam before the other members of my tribe. When my father returned from the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, to his tribe, he said, by Allah, I have come to you from the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, for sure. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, afterward said to them, offer such and such prayer at such and such time, and when the time for the prayer becomes due, then one of you should pronounce the adhan for the prayer, and let the one amongst you who knows Quran most should lead the prayer. So they looked for such a person and found none who knew more Quran than I, because of the Quranic material which I used to learn from the caravans. They therefore made me their Imam, to lead the prayer, and at that time I was a boy of 6 or 7 years, wearing a burda, that is, a black square garment, proved to be very short for me, and my body became partly naked. A lady from the tribe said, won't you cover the anus of your reciter for us? So they bought a piece of cloth, and made a shirt for me. I had never been so happy with anything before as I was with that shirt. Hadith 336. Narrated Aisha, Utbah bin Abi Waqqas authorized his brother Sa'd to take the son of the slave girl of Zamah into his custody. Utbah said to him, he is my son. When Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, arrived in Makkah during the conquest of Makkah, Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas took the son of the slave girl of Zamah and took him to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Abd bin Zamah too came along with him. Sa'd said, this is the son of my brother and the latter has informed me that he is his son. Abd bin Zamah said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. This is my brother who is the son of the slave girl of Zamah and was born on his, that is, Zamah's, bed. Allah's apostle looked at the son of the slave girl of Zamah and noticed that he, of all the people, had the greatest resemblance to Utbah bin Abi Waqqas. Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, then said, to Abd, he is yours, he is your brother, O Abd bin Zamah, he was born on the bed of your father. At the same time, Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, to his wife Sauda, veil yourself before him, that is, the son of the slave girl, O Sauda, because of the resemblance he noticed between him and Utbah bin Abi Waqqas. Allah's apostle added, the boy is for the bed, that is, for the owner of the bed where he was born, and stone is for the adulterer. Ibn Shihab said, Abu Hurairah used to say that is, the last statement of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, in the above hadith, publicly. Hadith 337. Narrated Urwah bin Az-Zubayr, a lady committed theft during the lifetime of Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, in the Ghazwa of Al-Fath, that is, conquest of Makkah. Her folk went to Usama bin Zaid to intercede for her, with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. When Usama interceded for her with Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, the color of the face of Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, changed and he said, do you intercede with me in a matter involving one of the legal punishments prescribed by Allah? Usama said, O Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Ask Allah's forgiveness for me. So in the afternoon, Allah's apostle got up and addressed the people. He praised Allah as he deserved and then said, Amma ba'du. The nations prior to you were destroyed because if a noble amongst them stole, they used to excuse him, and if a poor person amongst them stole, they would apply Allah's legal punishment to him. By him in whose hand Muhammad's soul is, if Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad stole, I would cut her hand. Then Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, gave his order in the case of that woman and her hand was cut off. Afterwards her repentance proved sincere and she got married. Aisha said, that lady used to visit me and I used to convey her demands to Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Hadith 338. Narrated Mujashi, I took my brother to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, after the conquest of Makkah, and said, O Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. I have come to you with my brother so that you may take a pledge of allegiance from him for migration. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the people of migration, that is, those who migrated to Medina before the conquest, enjoyed the privileges of migration, that is, there is no need for migration anymore. I said to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, for what will you take his pledge of allegiance? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, I will take his pledge of allegiance for Islam, belief, and for jihad, that is, fighting in Allah's cause. Hadith 339. Narrated Mujashi bin Masud, I took Abu Ma'bad to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, in order that he might give him the pledge of allegiance for migration. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, migration has gone to its people, but I take the pledge from him, that is, Abu Ma'bad, for Islam and Jihad. Hadith 340. Narrated Mujahid, I said to Ibn Umar, I want to migrate to Sham. He said, there is no migration, but jihad, for Allah's cause. Go and offer yourself for jihad, and if you find an opportunity for jihad, stay there, otherwise, come back. Hadith 341. In another narration, Ibn Umar said, there is no migration today or after Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and completed his statement as above. Hadith 342. Narrated Mujahid bin Jabr, Abdullāh bin Umar used to say, there is no migration after the conquest of Makkah. Hadith 343. Narrated Ata bin Abi Rabah, Ubayd bin Umar and I visited Aisha, and he asked her about the migration. She said, "There is no migration today. A believer used to flee with his religion to Allah and His Prophet for fear that he might be put to trial as regards his religion. Today Allah has rendered Islam victorious, therefore a believing one can worship one's Lord wherever one wishes. But there is jihad, for Allah's cause, and intentions." Hadith 344. Narrated Mujahid, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, got up on the day of the conquest of Makkah and said, "Allah has made Makkah a sanctuary since the day He created the heavens and the earth, and it will remain a sanctuary by virtue of the sanctity Allah has bestowed on it till the day of resurrection. It, that is, fighting in it, was not made lawful to anyone before me, nor will it be made lawful to anyone after me, and it was not made lawful for me except for a short period of time. Its game should not be chased, nor should its trees be cut, nor its vegetation or grass uprooted, nor its luqata, that is, lost things, picked up except by one who makes a public announcement about it." Al-Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib said, "Except the adkir, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, as it is indispensable for blacksmiths and houses." On that, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, kept quiet and then said, "Except the adkir, as it is lawful to cut." Hadith 345. Narrated Ismail, I saw a healed scar of blow over the hand of Ibn Abi Awfa, who said, "I received that blow in the battle of Hunayn in the company of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him." I said, "Did you take part in the battle of Hunayn?" He replied, "Yes, and in other battles, before it." Hadith 346. Narrated Abu Ishaq, I heard Al-Bara narrating when a man came and said to him, "O Abu Umara, did you flee on the day of the battle of Hunayn?" Al-Bara replied, "I testify that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, did not flee, but the hasty people hurried away and the people of Hawazin threw arrows at them." At that time, Abu Sufyan bin al-Harith was holding the white mule of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, by the head, and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was saying, "I am the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, undoubtedly, I am the son of Abdul Muttalib." Hadith 347. Narrated Abu Ishaq, Al-Bara was asked while I was listening, "Did you flee, before the enemy, along with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, on the day of the battle of Hunayn?" He replied, "As for the Prophet, he did not flee. The enemy were good archers and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was saying, 'I am the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, undoubtedly, I am the son of Abdul Muttalib." Hadith 348. Narrated Abu Ishaq, that he heard Al-Bara narrating when a man from Qais tribe asked him, "Did you flee, leaving Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, on the day of the battle of Hunayn?" Al-Bara replied, "But Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, did not flee. The people of Hawazin were good archers, and when we attacked them, they fled. But rushing towards the booty, we were confronted by the arrows of the enemy. I saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, riding his white mule while Abu Sufyan was holding its reins, and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was saying, 'I am the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, undoubtedly.' Israel and Zuhair said, 'The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, dismounted from his mule.'" Hadith 349. Narrated Marwan and Al-Miswar bin Makramah, when the delegate of Hawazin came to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, declaring their conversion to Islam and asked him to return their properties and captives, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, got up and said to them, "There is involved in this matter the people whom you see with me, and the most beloved talk to me, is the true one. So choose one of two alternatives, either the captives or the properties. I have been waiting for you, that is, have not distributed the booty." Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, had delayed the distribution of their booty over 10 nights after his return from Taif. So when they came to know that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, was not going to return to them but one of the two, they said, "We prefer to have our captives." So Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, got up amongst the Muslims, and praising Allah as he deserved, said, "To proceed. Your brothers have come to you with repentance and I see it logical to return their captives. So, whoever of you likes to do that as a favor then he can do it. And whoever of you likes to stick to his share till we give him from the very first booty which Allah will give us, then he can do so." The people said, "We do that is, return the captives, willingly as a favor, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him." Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "We do not know which of you have agreed to it and which have not, so go back and let your chiefs forward us your decision." They went back and their chief spoke to them, and they, that is, the chiefs, returned to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and informed him that all of them had agreed to give up their captives, with pleasure, and had given their permission, that is, that the captives be returned to their people. The sub-narrator said, "That is what has reached me about the captives of Hawazin tribe." Hadīth 350. Narrated Ibn Umar, when we returned from the Battle of Hunayn, Umar asked the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, about a vow which he had made during the pre-Islamic period of ignorance that he would perform i'tikaf. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered him to fulfill his vow. Hadīth 351. Narrated Abu Qatada, we set out along with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, during the year of the Battle of Hunayn, and when we faced the enemy, the Muslims, with the exception of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and some of his companions, retreated before the enemy. I saw one of the pagans overpowering one of the Muslims, so I struck the pagan from behind his neck, causing his armor to be cut off. The pagan headed towards me and pressed me so forcibly that I felt as if I was dying. Then death took him over and he released me. Afterwards I followed Umar and said to him, "What is wrong with the people?" He said, "It is the order of Allah." Then the Muslims returned to the battle after the flight, and, after overcoming the enemy, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sat and said, "Whoever had killed an infidel and has an evidence to this issue, will have the sulb, that is, the belonging of the deceased, for example, clothes, arms, horse, etc." I stood up and said, "Who will be my witness?" and then sat down. Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, repeated his question. Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said the same, for the third time. I got up and said, "Who will be my witness?" and then sat down. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, asked his former question again. So I got up. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "What is the matter, O Abu Qatada?" So I narrated the whole story. A man said, "Abu Qatada has spoken the truth, and the sulb of the deceased is with me, so please compensate Abu Qatada on my behalf." Abu Bakr said, "No. By Allah, it will never happen that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, will leave a lion of Allah who fights for the sake of Allah and his apostle and give his spoils to you." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Abu Bakr has spoken the truth. Give it, the spoils, back to him, O man." So he gave it to me and I bought a garden in the land of Banu Salamah with it, that is, the spoils, and that was the first property I got after embracing Islam. Hadīth 352. Narrated Abu Qatada, when it was the day of the Battle of Hunayn, I saw a Muslim man fighting with one of the pagans and another pagan was hiding himself behind the Muslim in order to kill him. So I hurried towards the pagan who was hiding behind the Muslim to kill him, and he raised his hand to hit me but I hit his hand and cut it off. That man got hold of me and pressed me so hard that I was afraid that I would die, then he knelt down and his grip became loose and I pushed him and killed him. The Muslims, excepting the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and some of his companions, started fleeing and I too, fled with them. Suddenly I met Umar bin al-Khattab amongst the people and I asked him, "What is wrong with the people?" He said, "It is the order of Allah." Then the people returned to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, after defeating the enemy. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Whoever produces a proof that he has killed an infidel, will have the spoils of the killed man." So I got up to look for an evidence to prove that I had killed an infidel, but I could not find anyone to bear witness for me, so I sat down. Then it came to my mind, that I should speak of it, and I mentioned the case to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. A man from the persons who were sitting with him, that is, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "The arms of the deceased one whom he, that is, Abu Qatada, has mentioned are with me, so please compensate him for it, that is, the spoils." Abu Bakr said, "No, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, will not give it, that is, the spoils, to a weak humble person from Quraysh and leave one of Allah's lions who fights on behalf of Allah and His Apostle." Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, then got up and gave that, spoils, to me, and I bought with it a garden, which was the first property I got after embracing Islam. Hadith 353. Narrated Abu Musa, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had finished from the battle of Hunain, he sent Abu Amr at the head of an army to Autas. He, that is, Abu Amr, met Durayd bin As-Simma and Durayd was killed and Allah defeated his companions. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sent me with Abu Amr. Abu Amr was shot at his knee with an arrow which a man from Jushm had shot and fixed into his knee. I went to him and said, "O uncle! Who shot you?" He pointed me out, his killer, saying, "That is my killer who shot me, with an arrow." So I headed towards him and overtook him, and when he saw me, he fled, and I followed him and started saying to him, "Won't you be ashamed? Won't you stop?" So that person stopped, and we exchanged 2 hits with the swords and I killed him. Then I said to Abu Amr, "Allah has killed your killer." He said, "Take out this arrow." So I removed it, and water oozed out of the wound. He then said, "O son of my brother! Convey my compliments to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and request him to ask Allah's forgiveness for me." Abu Amr made me his successor in commanding the people, that is, troops. He survived for a short while and then died. Later, I returned and entered upon the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, at his house, and found him lying in a bed made of stalks of date palm leaves knitted with ropes, and on it there was bedding. The strings of the bed had their traces over his back and sides. Then I told the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, about our and Abu Amr's news and how he had said, "Tell him to ask for Allah's forgiveness for me." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, asked for water, performed ablution and then raised hands, saying, "O Allah! Forgive Ubayd Abu Amr." At that time I saw the whiteness of the Prophet's armpits. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then said, "O Allah, make him, that is, Abu Amr, on the day of resurrection, superior to many of your human creatures." I said, "Will you ask Allah's forgiveness for me?" On that, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "O Allah, forgive the sins of Abdullāh bin Qais and admit him to a nice entrance, that is, paradise, on the day of resurrection." Abu Burda said, one of the prayers was for Abu Amr and the other was for Abu Musa, that is, Abdullāh bin Qais. Hadith 354. Narrated Salama, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, came to me while there was an effeminate man sitting with me, and I heard him, that is, the effeminate man, saying to Abdullāh bin Abi Umayyah, "O Abdullāh! See if Allah should make you conquer Taif tomorrow, then take the daughter of Ghailan, in marriage, as, she is so beautiful and fat that, she shows 4 folds of flesh when facing you, and 8 when she turns her back." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then said, "These, effeminate men, should never enter upon you, O women." Ibn Jurayj said, that effeminate man was called Heat. Narrated Hisham, the above narration, and added extra, that at that time, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was besieging Taif. Hadith 355. Narrated Abdullāh bin Amr, when Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, besieged Taif and could not conquer its people, he said, "We will return to Medina, if Allah wills." That distressed the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and they said, "Shall we go away without conquering it, that is, the fort of Taif?" Once the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Let us return." Then the Prophet said to them, "Fight tomorrow." They fought and, many of them, got wounded, whereupon the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "We will return to Medina tomorrow if Allah wills." That delighted them, whereupon the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, smiled. The sub-narrator, Sufyan, said once, the Prophet smiled. Hadith 356. Narrated Abu Uthman, I heard from Sa'd, the first man who had thrown an arrow in Allah's cause, and from Abu Bakr who jumped over the wall of the Taif fort along with a few persons and came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. They both said, "We heard the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, if somebody claims to be the son of somebody other than his father knowingly, he will be denied paradise, that is, he will not enter paradise." Narrated Ma'mar from Asim from Abu al-Aliyah or Abu Uthman an-Nahdi who said, I heard Sa'd and Abu Bakr narrating from the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Asim said, I said to him, very trustworthy persons have narrated to you. He said, yes, one of them was the first to throw an arrow in Allah's cause and the other came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, in a group of 33 persons from Taif. Hadith 357. Narrated Abu Burda, Abu Musa said, I was with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, when he was encamping at Al-Jirana, a place between Mecca and Medina, and Bilal was with him. A Bedouin came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, won't you fulfill what you have promised me? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, rejoice at what I will do for you. The Bedouin said, you have said to me, rejoice too often. Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, turned to me, that is, Abu Musa, and Bilal in an angry mood and said, the Bedouin has refused the good tidings, so you both accept them. Bilal and I said, we accept them. Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, asked for a drinking bowl containing water and washed his hands and face in it, and then took a mouthful of water and threw it therein saying, to us, drink some of it and pour some over your faces and chests and be happy at the good tidings. So they both took the drinking bowl and did as instructed. Salama called from behind a screen, keep something of the water for your mother. So they left some of it for her. Hadith 358. Narrated Safwan bin Ya'la bin Umayyah, Ya'la used to say, I wish I could see Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, at the time when he is being inspired divinely. Ya'la added, while the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was at Al-Jirana, shaded with a cloth sheet, in the form of a tent, and there were staying with him some of his companions under it, suddenly there came to him a Bedouin wearing a cloak and perfumed extravagantly. He said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. What is your opinion regarding a man who assumes the state of ihram for Umrah wearing a cloak after applying perfume to his body? Umar signaled with his hand to Ya'la to come near. Ya'la came and put his head underneath that cloth sheet, and saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, red-faced, and when that state of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was over, he said, where is he who has already asked me about the Umrah? The man was looked for and brought to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to him, "As for the perfume you have applied to your body, wash it off your body thrice, and take off your cloak, and then do in your Umrah the rites you do in your Hajj." Hadith 359. Narrated Abdullāh bin Zaid bin Asim, when Allah gave to his apostle the war booty on the day of Hunayn, he distributed that booty amongst those whose hearts have been, recently, reconciled to Islam, but did not give anything to the Ansar. So they seem to have felt angry and sad as they did not get the same as other people had got. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then delivered a sermon before them, saying, "O, the assembly of Ansar! Didn't I find you astray, and then Allah guided you on the right path through me? You were divided into groups, and Allah brought you together through me. You were poor and Allah made you rich through me." Whatever the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, they, that is, the Ansar, said, "Allah and his apostle have more favors to do." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "What stops you from answering the Messenger of Allah?" But whatever he said to them, they replied, "Allah and his apostle have more favors to do." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then said, "If you wish you could say, you came to us in such and such state, at Medina. Wouldn't you be willing to see the people go away with sheep and camels while you go with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, to your homes? But for the migration I would have been one of the Ansar, and if the people took their way through a valley or mountain pass, I would select the valley or mountain pass of the Ansar." The Ansar are shi'ar, that is, those clothes which are in direct contact with the body and worn inside the other garments, and the people are dithar, that is, those clothes which are not in direct contact with the body and are worn over other garments. No doubt, you will see other people favored over you, so you should be patient till you meet me at the tank of Kawthar. Hadith 360. Narrated Anas bin Malik, when Allah gave Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, what he gave of the properties of the Hawazin tribe as a war booty, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, started giving some men 100 camels each. The Ansar, then, said, "May Allah forgive Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, as he gives to Quraysh and leaves us, although our swords are still dribbling with the blood of Quraysh." Allah's apostle was informed of their statement, so he sent for the Ansar and gathered them in a leather tent, and did not call anybody else along with them. When they all gathered, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, got up and said, "What is this talk being informed to me about you?" The learned men amongst the Ansar said, "O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Our chiefs did not say anything, but some people amongst us who are younger in age said, 'May Allah forgive Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, as he gives, of the booty, to Quraysh and leaves us, though our swords are still dribbling with their blood.' The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, 'I give to these men who have newly deserted heathenism and embraced Islam, so as to attract their hearts. Won't you be happy that the people take the wealth while you take the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, with you to your homes? By Allah, what you are taking is better than whatever they are taking.' They, that is, the Ansar, said, 'O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. We are satisfied.' The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then said to them, 'You will find others favored over you greatly, so be patient till you meet Allah and his apostle, and I will be at the tank then.' Anas added, 'But they did not remain patient.' Hadith 361. Narrated Anas, when it was the day of the conquest of Makkah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, distributed the war booty amongst the people of Quraysh, which caused the Ansar to become angry. So the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, 'Won't you be pleased that the people take the worldly things and you take Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, with you?' They said, 'Yes.' The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, 'If the people took their way through a valley or mountain pass, I would take my way through the Ansar's valley or mountain pass.' Hadith 362. Narrated Anas, when it was the day of the Battle of Hunayn, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, confronted the tribe of Hawazin while there were 10,000 men, besides the Tulaqā, that is, those who had embraced Islam on the day of the conquest of Makkah, with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. When they, that is, Muslims, fled, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O the group of Ansar. They replied, Labbaik, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and Sadiq. We are under your command. Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, got down from his mule, and said, I am Allah's slave and his apostle. Then the pagans were defeated. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, distributed the war booty amongst the Tulaqā and Muhajirin, that is, emigrants, and did not give anything to the Ansar. So the Ansar spoke, that is, were dissatisfied, and he called them and made them enter a leather tent and said, Won't you be pleased that the people take the sheep and camels, and you take Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, along with you? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, added, If the people took their way through a valley and the Ansar took their way through a mountain pass, then I would choose the mountain pass of the Ansar. Hadīth 363. Narrated Anas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, gathered some people of Ansar and said, The people of Quraysh are still close to their pre-Islamic period of ignorance and have suffered a lot, and I want to help them and attract their hearts, by giving them the war booty. Won't you be pleased that the people take the worldly things, and you take Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, with you to your homes? They said, Yes, that is, we are pleased with this distribution. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, If the people took their way through a valley and the Ansar took their way through a mountain pass, then I would take the Ansar's valley or the Ansar's mountain pass. Hadīth 364. Narrated Abdullāh, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, distributed the war booty of Hunayn, a man from the Ansar said, He, that is, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, did not intend to please Allah in this distribution. So I came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and informed him of that statement, whereupon the color of his face changed and he said, May Allah bestow his mercy on Moses, for he was troubled with more than this, but he remained patient. Hadīth 365. Narrated Abdullāh, when it was the day of Hunayn, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, favored some people over some others, in the distribution of the booty. He gave Al-Aqra 100 camels and gave Uraina the same, and also gave other people, of Quraysh. A man said, Allah's pleasure was not the aim in this distribution. I said, I will inform the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, about your statement. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, May Allah bestow mercy on Moses, for he was troubled more than this but he remained patient. Hadīth 366. Narrated Anas bin Malik, when it was the day of the battle of Hunayn, the tribes of Hawazin and Ghatafan and others, along with their animals and offspring and wives, came to fight against the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had with him 10,000 men and some of the Tulaqā. The companions fled, leaving the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, alone. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then made two calls which were clearly distinguished from each other. He turned right and said, O the group of Ansar. They said, Labbaik, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Rejoice, for we are with you. Then he turned left and said, O the group of Ansar. They said, Labbaik. O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Rejoice, for we are with you. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, at that time, was riding on a white mule, then he dismounted and said, I am Allah's slave and his apostle. The infidels then were defeated, and on that day the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, gained a large amount of booty which he distributed amongst the Muhajirin and the Tulaqā, and did not give anything to the Ansar. The Ansar said, when there is a difficulty, we are called, but the booty is given to other than us. The news reached the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and he gathered them in a leather tent and said, "What is this news reaching me from you, O the group of Ansar?" They kept silent. He added, "O the group of Ansar, won't you be happy that the people take the worldly things, and you take Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, to your homes, reserving him for yourself?" They said, "Yes." Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "If the people took their way through a valley, and the Ansar took their way through a mountain pass, surely, I would take the Ansar's mountain pass." Hisham said, "O Abu Hamza, that is, Anas, did you witness that?" He replied, "And how could I be absent from him?" Hadīth 367. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sent a sariyah towards Najd and I was in it, and our share from the booty amounted to 12 camels each, and we were given an additional camel each. So we returned with 13 camels each. Hadīth 368. Narrated Salim's father, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sent Khalid bin Al-Walid to the tribe of Jadima, and Khalid invited them to Islam, but they could not express themselves by saying, "Aslamna," that is, "We have embraced Islam," but they started saying, "Sabana. Sabana," that is, "We have come out of one religion to another." Khalid kept on killing some of them and taking some of them as captives and gave every one of us his captive. When there came the day, then Khalid ordered that each man, that is, Muslim soldier, should kill his captive. I said, "By Allah, I will not kill my captive, and none of my companions will kill his captive." When we reached the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, we mentioned to him the whole story. On that, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, raised both his hands and said twice, "O Allah, I am free from what Khalid has done." Hadīth 369. Narrated Ali, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sent a sariyah under the command of a man from the Ansar and ordered the soldiers to obey him. He, that is, the commander, became angry and said, "Didn't the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, order you to obey me?" They replied, "Yes." He said, "Collect firewood for me." So they collected it. He said, "Make a fire." When they made it, he said, "Enter it," that is, the fire. So they intended to do that and started holding each other and saying, "We run towards," that is, take refuge with, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, from the fire. They kept on saying that till the fire was extinguished and the anger of the commander abated. When that news reached the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he said, if they had entered it, that is, the fire, they would not have come out of it till the day of resurrection. Obedience, to somebody, is required when he enjoins what is good. Hadīth 370. Narrated Abu Burda, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, sent Abu Musa and Mu'adh bin Jabal to Yemen. He sent each of them to administer a province, as Yemen consisted of 2 provinces. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to them, "Facilitate things for the people and do not make things difficult for them, be kind and lenient, both of you, with the people, and do not be hard on them, and give the people good tidings and do not repulse them." So each of them went to carry on his job. So when any one of them toured his province and happened to come near the border of the province of his companion, he would visit him and greet him. Once Mu'adh toured that part of his state which was near the border of the province of his companion Abu Musa. Mu'adh came riding his mule till he reached Abu Musa and saw him sitting, and the people had gathered around him. Behold, there was a man tied with his hands behind his neck. Mu'adh said to Abu Musa, "O Abdullāh bin Qais, what is this?" Abu Musa replied, "This man has reverted to heathenism after embracing Islam." Mu'adh said, "I will not dismount till he is killed." Abu Musa replied, "He has been brought for this purpose, so come down." Mu'adh said, "I will not dismount till he is killed." So Abu Musa ordered that he be killed, and he was killed. Then Mu'adh dismounted and said, "O Abdullāh bin Qais, how do you recite the Quran?" Abu Musa said, "I recite the Quran regularly at intervals and piecemeal." "How do you recite it, O Mu'adh?" Mu'adh said, "I sleep in the first part of the night and then get up after having slept for the time devoted for my sleep and then recite as much as Allah has written for me. So I seek Allah's reward for both my sleep as well as my prayer, at night." Hadith 371. Narrated Abi Burda, that Abu Musa al-Ash'ari said that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had sent him to Yemen, and he asked the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, about a certain alcoholic drink which used to be prepared there. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "What are they?" Abu Musa said, "Ulbit and Ul-Mizr." He said, "Ulbit is an alcoholic drink made from honey, and Ul-Mizr is an alcoholic drink made from barley." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "All intoxicants are prohibited." Hadith 372. Narrated Abu Burda, that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sent his, that is, Abu Burda's, grandfather, Abu Musa and Mu'adh to Yemen and said to both of them, "Facilitate things for the people, be kind and lenient, and do not make things difficult for people, and give them good tidings and do not repulse them, and both of you should obey each other." Abu Musa said, "O Allah's Prophet, in our land there is an alcoholic drink, prepared from barley called Ul-Mizr, and another, prepared from honey, called Ulbit." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "All intoxicants are prohibited." Then both of them proceeded and Mu'adh asked Abu Musa, "How do you recite the Quran?" Abu Musa replied, "I recite it while I am standing, sitting or riding my riding animals, at intervals and piecemeal." Mu'adh said, "But I sleep and then get up. I sleep and hope for Allah's reward for my sleep as I seek His reward for my night prayer." Then he, that is, Mu'adh, pitched a tent and they started visiting each other. Once Mu'adh paid a visit to Abu Musa and saw a chained man. Mu'adh asked, "What is this?" Abu Musa said, "He was a Jew who embraced Islam and has now turned apostate." Mu'adh said, "I will surely chop off his neck." Hadith 373. Narrated Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, sent me, as a governor, to the land of my people, and I came while Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, was encamping at a place called Al-Abtah. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Have you made the intention to perform the Hajj, O Abdullāh bin Qais?" I replied, "Yes, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him." He said, "What did you say?" I replied, "I said, Labbaik, and expressed the same intention as yours." He said, "Have you driven the Hadi along with you?" I replied, "No, I did not drive the Hadi." He said, "So perform the Tawaf of the Kaaba and then the Sa'i between Safa and Marwa, and then finish the state of Ihram." So I did the same, and one of the women of the tribe of Banu Qais combed my hair. We continued to follow in that tradition till the Caliphate of Umar. Hadith 374. Narrated Ibn Abbas, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said to Mu'adh bin Jabal when he sent him to Yemen, "You will come to the people of Scripture, and when you reach them, invite them to testify that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah and that Muhammad is his apostle. And if they obey you in that, then tell them that Allah has enjoined on them 5 prayers to be performed every day and night. And if they obey you in that, then tell them that Allah has enjoined on them sadaqah, that is, zakat, to be taken from the rich amongst them and given to the poor amongst them. And if they obey you in that, then be cautious. Don't take their best properties, as zakat, and be afraid of the curse of an oppressed person, as there is no screen between his invocation and Allah. Hadith 375. Narrated Amr bin Maymun, when Mu'ad arrived at Yemen, he led them, that is, the people of Yemen, in the Fajr prayer wherein he recited, Allah took Abraham as a Khalil. A man amongst the people said, How glad the mother of Abraham is. In another narration, Amr said, The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sent Mu'ad to Yemen and he led the people in the Fajr prayer and recited, Allah took Abraham as a Khalil. A man behind him said, How glad the mother of Abraham is. Hadith 376. Narrated Al-Barā, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, sent us to Yemen along with Khalid bin Al-Walid. Later on, he sent Ali bin Abi Talib in his place. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to Ali, Give Khalid's companions the choice of either staying with you, in Yemen, or returning to Medina. I was one of those who stayed with him, that is, Ali, and got several awaq of gold from the war booty. Hadith 377. Narrated Buraidah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sent Ali to Khalid to bring the kumus of the booty, and I hated Ali, and Ali had taken a bath, after a sexual act with a slave girl from the kumus. I said to Khalid, Don't you see this, that is, Ali? When we reached the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, I mentioned that to him. He said, O Buraidah, do you hate Ali? I said, Yes. He said, Do you hate him, for he deserves more than that from the kumus. Hadith 378. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, Ali bin Abi Talib sent a piece of gold not yet taken out of its ore, in a tanned leather container to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, distributed that amongst 4 persons, Uyayna bin Badr, Aqra bin Habis, Zayd al-Qail, and the 4th was either Ulqamah or Amr bin At-Tufail. On that, one of his companions said, We are more deserving of this gold than these persons. When that news reached the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he said, Don't you trust me though I am the trustworthy man of the one in the heavens, and I receive the news of heaven, that is, divine inspiration, both in the morning and in the evening? There got up a man with sunken eyes, raised cheekbones, raised forehead, a thick beard, a shaven head and a waist sheet that was tucked up, and he said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Be afraid of Allah. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Woe to you! Am I not of all the people of the earth the most entitled to fear Allah? Then that man went away. Khalid bin al-Walid said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Shall I chop his neck off? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, No, for he may offer prayers. Khalid said, Numerous are those who offer prayers and say by their tongues, that is, mouths, what is not in their hearts. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, I have not been ordered, by Allah, to search the hearts of the people or cut open their bellies. Then the Prophet looked at him, that is, that man, while the latter was going away and said, From the offspring of this man there will come out people, who will recite the Quran continuously and elegantly, but it will not exceed their throats. They will neither understand it nor act upon it. They would go out of the religion, that is, Islam, as an arrow goes through a game's body. I think he also said, If I should be present at their time I would kill them as the nation of Thamud were killed. Hadith 379. Narrated Jabir said, The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered Ali to keep the state of Ihram. Jabir added, Ali bin Abi Talib returned, from Yemen, when he was a governor, of Yemen. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to him, With what intention have you assumed the state of Ihram? Ali said, I have assumed Ihram with an intention as that of the Prophet. Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to him, Offer a hadi and keep the state of Ihram in which you are now. Ali slaughtered a hadi on his behalf. Hadith 380. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, assumed the state of ihram for Umrah and Hajj, and we too assumed it for Hajj with him. When we arrived at Makkah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Whoever does not possess a hadi should regard his ihram for Umrah only." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had a hadi with him. Ali bin Abi Talib came to us from Yemen with the intention of performing Hajj. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to him, "With what intention have you assumed the ihram, for your wife is with us?" Ali said, "I assumed the ihram with the same intention as that of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Keep on the state of ihram, as we have got the hadi."